record button at the bottom, but
All
whatever
right,
floats your boat.
recording now.
Wait. All right. So, welcome to Roleplay Cafe. We have Del Branham and his son Jory on the either side of me, and at the bottom left, left, we have Kevin Millman, our director today, and Dawnie on the bottom right-hand side. We're going to play a little Dark Age of Man. This will be the largest group we've had for Dark Age of Man. That's very cool. Even my local groups, I've only had 3. I think we've been 1 and 2, so this is nice to have 4 players. Very cool. So thank you, Kevin. Couple things. First play test from somebody other than Del and I of our game system. So Kevin, thank you, sir. That's going to be so cool.
Much
And I'll hand it over to Kevin. Let him kind of set us up here.
Yeah, so hopefully I don't mess up too much. The game is pretty elegant and simple, so hopefully it should flow really nice, and we won't have any problems. I asked everybody to create some essentially level 3 characters, and you guys all did that up. We've got their names, and I think everybody's changed their name to their character name here on the screen, so that's excellent. Let's start up with Del, if you want to give a quick description of your character, and then we'll just go right around the whole loop.
All right. Lith is a self-imposed exile in the town of Dredgewater. He lives in the marsh, the forested marsh outside of town. Sometimes it's hard to get in touch with him because he's always roaming, collecting herbs and brewing concoctions and whatever. But the citizens of Dredgewater don't really view him much as a harm, more than a curiosity. And a lot of times he's gained his reputation through healing some of the sick there. So they've gained a level of trust in him. And oftentimes when they don't know what to do, they'll send somebody running for Lith. And he's not too far off of the beaten path. Somebody's always ran into him enough to gather his location and pull him to where he needs to go next, which in this case will lead him rather to this situation you've set up.
All right. Parvel.
Parvel is his parents were fishermen in the village when he was a young boy. They died early. He kind of grew up a orphan in the village and took very seriously every opportunity he could to have a positive impact upon the fief, and slowly worked his way up, even though he is a worthless orphan peasant boy. And through his labors of love and his loyalty to the Baron Washburn, he has worked his way up to being a guard for the Baron at his estate castle for the most part. But aside from that, he's still just a 24-year-old. His clothes are generally a little too big for him. He's about 5'8". Very thin, as he is ultimately malnourished, as are many people in the Dark Ages. He has dark, stringy hair, can't quite grow a beard, so he looks a little younger than he actually is. He's about 24 years old. And again, his loyalty to his Baron, he sees it as his only lifeblood to a life other than early death. So that's Parvel.
All right. That's depressing. Hopefully Parvel gets an uplifting note in his story soon. Agrippa, can you tell me a bit about yourself?
Yeah, Agrippa is kind of a monkish fellow that has been wandering around this place on kind of a pilgrimage. He's sworn to vows of charity and poverty and pacifism. So when he comes through Dredgewater, he just, anytime he stops by a town, he's always on the lookout for a way to help those that need help, and makes it a point to deny payment whenever offered. So that's how he gets here.
Excellent. The folks of Dredgewater like to keep their coins to themselves, so having somebody who doesn't want the payment, you fit right in.
He's welcome. Yes.
Heather, can you tell me a bit about yourself?
All right. So Heather's mom died when she was a child, giving birth to her sibling. Her dad kind of taught her how to use a sword and a bow. Her father was a farm handler, and when he died, she basically went out into the world and used her skill at the bow and with a sword to make her living as a hired swordsman. Because she lost all of her family for the most part, she likes to keep to herself. Those who have fought alongside of her has given her the nickname the Purple Princess, because in honor of her mother, she takes heathers and makes a flower crown and embeds them in her braids before battle, basically, as a way to honor her mother. And she has her father's sword and bow. So her philosophy is don't make friendships, don't make connections, because they're just going to die anyway and turn into a haunted memory, so to speak. So she kind of keeps herself, takes jobs, and roams around.
Okay, excellent. So the reason the four of you have been called in, your backstories all kind of tie in quite well to what's going on here, is the Baron has a sickly daughter. She's 15 years old. Her name's Amelia. She's not of fantastic health. She's always been a little bit sickly, but she is the pride and joy of the Baron. He loves her more than anything else. He may at times seem cold and hard, but towards her, he's putty. She has to be moved over to their winter home. It's coming on to late fall, coming into winter, and the family always retreats out of Dredgewater and goes to a winter home, which is about a 2-day journey to the east. They called upon Lith because of your known medical skills in the town. Parvel, you've been loyal. You've been a solid participant, so they want to have you along there as well. Agrippa, you came into town and have healing abilities. So again, because she's so sickly and they want to make sure she gets there without any problems, they definitely asked you to come along. And Heather, while you haven't probably had any direct connection with Amelia, Amelia has heard stories of the flower-ringed swordsman and made a personal request to make sure that you were on the guard. She's not. Many may consider her a little bit of a brat and a little bit hard to deal with. She comes from a very place of privilege compared to the rest of you. She may have a hard time connecting, but your job is to make sure she is safely transported from where they are now out to the summer home. And so you're gathered by the town guard and explain what was going on. There is a horse carriage waiting for you. There's a young man. His name is Jorah, and Jorah is going to, make sure the horses are well done and pilot the carriage that's taking you there. You guys can choose to either ride on the outside of the carriage. You're not allowed to be inside with the Duke's daughter. The Baron's daughter. Or you could have your own horses if you're able to supply them. But there is a need to get her there very quickly. So I'll leave with that setting, let you guys begin deciding how you want to organize yourselves before you depart.
I will definitely be on one of the Baron's horses riding. I can circle the carriage or ride in front or drop to the back on a Baron's horse. I don't have the capacity to own a horse, so I would be using a Baron's horse.
Yeah, I'll be on foot to have quicker access to any kind of herbs that I may recognize off the side of the road, as well as hopping onto the back of the carriage sometimes and piggybacking.
I'll approach. Does she have a name, the Baron's daughter?
Amelia.
Amelia. Okay. I will approach Amelia kind of apart as everybody's getting into position, and just kind of quietly, do you need me to stay close? Do you need me in here with you?
She seems to be not too opinionated on whether you're in there or not, but her father and the town's guard, as they're seeing her depart, they don't want anybody else in the carriage with her. Okay. So as you try to take your seat in there, the town guard kind of taps you on the shoulder. And, you are not of high enough station to sit in here.
I'm just kind of hold my hand up and kind of nod to him and step back down, but kind of try to stay close by as the cart's moving.
Okay.
Monk, I will, you can ride behind me. I'll offer a hand to boost him up onto the back of the horse if he so wants to ride with me.
I cannot do. I must travel by foot. It's
Then do not fall far behind. You never know when our lady will need your aid.
yes.
I want to kind of, is there a way for me to kind of be on the back of the wagon, just kind of holding on and riding along, just so that we have someone on the wagon in case we're.
There certainly
ambushed
is
or
now when you were
something?
there. So I can completely picture what you're saying. Yes,
Yeah.
there's definitely a handhold. It may not be the most comfortable ride for you for the entire trip, but is definitely possible for you to position yourself on the back of the carriage and have a physical connection to it in that way. So before we begin the journey, before we head off, the nice thing about the system that Del and Jason have come up with is that it has this naive narrator where I knew up to this point what was going to happen, but from this point forward, I don't have a whole lot of idea. So I'd like you guys to roll me 3d6. I'd like to get 3 rolls if I could, and that way I'll have
Awesome.
everything up front right away.
Okay, here we go. Looks like I've got 8 and 3, 13. No, 8 and 3, 8 and 5. What is that? 13?
That is 13.
And I have 10.
10.
You want to roll, Dawnie? Or you want me to?
I mean, you know what happens when I roll. I roll
Okay.
really bad, so we're going to get into some changers. So I'll let you do it, man.
Oh, I don't know about that. You just jinxed me. That's a 16.
Oh,
Nice. Nice.
All right.
That's time
And-
roll a 3.
Just for my own, since we kind of left Dawnie out of the roll. Dawnie, can you roll me a d6, please? Just one d6.
I'm telling you, it's not going to be good, guys.
It's gonna be pretty.
One.
Perfect.
Uh-oh.
I gave you the warning, man. I will take that camera and show you, man. I suck at this.
Mhm.
All right. Let me just make sure here because I didn't actually number my thing. So give me a second. All
Where
right.
are you riding again, Del? Are you on a horse? Are you on the wagon?
No, I'm on foot, but
Oh,
I will jump on the wagon from time. I'm moving about all the time.
Gotcha.
I'll jump off that wagon in a second when I see some hemp on the side of the road.
All right. So, So as you guys are setting off, there's a trail muddy road that heads due east. This road will have various intersections as you go along for folks that are traveling to different parts of the land. Your terrain from here to the winter home, you've been told, is going to vary from hills to some light wooded areas. It is late fall, so you've got trees that have most of their leaves have fallen off. The ground is wet. It's a rainy season. As we're transitioning between the seasons, so that's kind of the outset. It's early in the day. How shall you set off? Begin to tell me what happens here as we head out.
I will ride ahead a ways, kind of scouting ahead along the muddy road, and then I'll ride back to the wagon. So periodically, I'll kind of ride ahead, come back, ride ahead, come back, just to keep an eye, kind of as a scout, a point.
Yeah, I'm making sure to stay as close as I can to the wagon itself and keeping an ear out for any sounds from inside of it. Kind of almost Big Brother hovering over. So
Okay, and I'm off of the beaten path a little bit, looking more so probably paying attention to the foliage and maybe some of the small animals or larger animals on the side. But that's what Lent seems to be doing. But and I'm also chewing on a little black stick, black root. So
I'm just observing from all of my viewpoints from the back of the wagon, kind of observing, make sure nothing's gonna ambush us, nothing's gonna throw us off kilter.
I'm sure with all those rolls, nothing like that could possibly happen. I'm almost not even at all
That's right.
positive. The
I circle around to the back of the wagon and look at her and break off a piece of the stick in my mouth and offer you some.
I kind of just look down with like a little disgust of like,
Good.
you're gonna give that out of your mouth? Are you serious?
No, I wouldn't. And I fish out some of them. I got a handful of them, and I wipe the leaf off of one and hand it to you. It's good.
I
good.
just kind of
Enjoy
look. I look away. I just kind of like look away as you do.
it. More for me. I stick it in my pocket and run around the edge of the wagon. And you see me going off into the foliage a little bit more and wrestling around.
what you guys can hear from inside the wagon, or inside the carriage, sorry, every time Jorah hits a little bit of a bump along this road, you're just hearing complaining. Like you can hear her kind of yelling up to Jorah, telling him to careful where he goes, and she's getting jostled around a little bit, and you can just hear incessant whining at points in time coming from the inside the carriage.
Jorah, you heard our lady. Go easy, man.
And so Jorah kind of sighs. He is seems to have done trips with this lady many times before, and he kind of pulls back on the reins and slows down the horses a little bit. Meanwhile, saying, "You do know we are supposed to be there at a set time, but if my lady wishes," and the horses down to a trot, going along the bumpy road.
I want to kind of, with my hand that I'm not holding with, kind of smack the back of the wagon and kind of go like, "What are you doing, man?" Like any roadsman or highwayman would use this as a perfect opportunity. We need to just keep on moving. I get the princess here is a little uncomfortable, but the sooner we get there, the sooner comfort she'll have.
Have you no comfort or for the pilgrim? I know his feet tire. Look at him sticking by the wagon.
Our client here, do I know anything about like what's ailing her?
She was a child that was born too soon, and just never managed to shake off the weakness of being born too soon, and
Right.
seems to be constantly sick with some sort of an issue.
I'm more concerned with the health of our client here. Her frailty is not to be overlooked.
Aye, yeah. Don't
As-
bruise the passion fruit. And then I giggle and go around upward to where Parvul is.
Watch your mouth, Lent.
Okay. And I scamper off a little bit further down the road.
Linth, you come across a bush that's just laden heavy with dark red berries.
Okay. Greedily. I want to, I got a 3 in mind. If it's appropriate or whatever. I want to analyze them. I'm picking them up and looking at them. Do I recognize these?
Give yourself a roll there. It'll be for you. It's probably a very fair roll. What'd you get there?
23.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, success, baby. 20.
You look over these berries and you recognize them as being incredibly delicious looking, but incredibly lethal to actually eat. They are a berry that one may look at and if hungry, devour down, but then within a day's time be buried in the ground, probably beneath these berries, as they are incredibly poisonous.
Now I've got a backpack on. I sling it off my shoulder and start, breaking off, a length of these berries or whatever, and I'm scraping them off into my little pouch that I have inside the backpack to keep as a keepsake. And
Come, Lent, don't dally. Woman, I understand why we are along, and I understand why the healer's along, but why? Why is this man along?
Hey, you'll understand soon. Hold on. And I'm working and throwing the berries in there, and I trot up to you. These Master Powerful. smear these along your blade's edge, but be careful. Very, very poisonous. Get into the bloodstream and.
So I'll draw the horse up from a soft trot and stick my palm out. Poison, you say?
Yeah, I let them go and fall into your. Just be careful. Be careful with them.
And I pocket them. I'll pocket them in my yerkin, in my chest pocket.
Okay.
Much obliged, Lymph. Maybe you are of value.
Hey, you see the value in me, and I wink, and then I turn around and go to the back of the wagon, and to where Heather is, and I'm kind of walking behind her, smiling. How you doing?
At this point, I go, would you like to have this spot? And I walk for a while.
No, I don't think so. Maybe the pilgrim. He could rest his feet. And then I scamper around.
I just kind of roll my eyes and ignore what his comment was and just kind of stay latch on.
Okay. All right, I go around to Agrippa.
Hey.
No, Pilgrim, what's your name? Agrippa.
Agrippa, who asks?
The lady in the back. She's a bit frosty, but Heather, go talk to her. Maybe you can get a seat by her. But she offered me a seat. But you take it. You rest don't worry about the child so much. You rest your feet. It's going to be a long journey.
But I could keep company. And I kind of slow my pace to get back to the back of the cart and kind of.
I'll watch this for you. I'll take leave. And I'll wait till you go around to the back of it, and then I scamper off.
All right. So as you guys have been traveling along at a fairly slow but steady pace, enough so that those who are on foot are able to stay caught up, and the jostling around with the carriage has been minimalized a little bit. The complaining's ceased a little bit. The weather starts to turn from being a dreary overcast day, like most days seem to be at this time of year, to now being a dreary overcast day where there's rain that has started fairly misty and light, but appears to be getting heavier as the hours tick by. So you've got a little bit of case of slickness for those who are walking around on the ground, and there's a constant pitter patter of rain hitting the top of the carriage.
A typical day in our beloved country.
Why so down in the mouth, Parvel? Should be used to it now.
I am working.
I splash in a mud puddle. That makes some mud fun for ourselves.
I am working. I do not have time to play games.
The serious man.
I want to reach down because at this point I see the pilgrim trying to come around towards me, and I offer to help him up onto the wagon to ride alongside.
And you and the pilgrim, of the four of you, are probably the ones that are the most dry, because as you stand on the back of the carriage, there's a little bit of an overhang over you, so you're not getting rain directly upon as opposed to your two other companions here. You hear the I almost said princess. You hear Amelia inside the carriage, starting to whine again a little bit about being hungry. She's like, "Has it not been time to stop for food yet?" And this entire time she's remained inside, but she lowers the window on the carriage and sticks her head out a little bit, careful not to get her hair wet, but is demanding some sort of food in the near future.
I will slow my horse so I can be basically right alongside her, and I'll look, my lady, we will feed you, but you must conceal yourself. No one need know who is in this wagon. Pull that shade. And Monk, are you in charge of feeding the girl?
Did we not bring any food along?
I thought I saw the hermit go and pick some berries alongside the road.
Always me. When you need food, I see. I know these things, and I scamper off into the woods or whatever like that. I shall return.
Patience, girl. Conceal yourself. We will have something for you shortly. I might rummage around in my pack, see if I have some kind of rations here for her as well.
And she sees you searching around in your bag. She's like, I wish not for your crumbs.
You're wise, girl.
And
I want to.
sorry,
I
go ahead.
want to. I want to jump off of the wagon, kind of run where Parvul is, and I want to kind of poke my head by where she's at, like talking to him, and kind of remind her, "Hey, you called for me because you asked to have the Purple Princess be your guards, but yet don't you want to yourself become stronger instead of relying on these people? It starts with a thing called common courtesy and respect, and it's about honor. And why don't you just pipe down, let the hermit go and get those crumbs from us, and we will carry on."
You see when you first come into view of Amelia, you see a look of recognition on her face as she realizes that of who you are, and for the first time, although the first time for her, she has a little bit of a smile come across her face here on this journey. But then as you speak and begin to lecture, you can see a look come over her face where she almost appears older. She's been, her whole life has been around people of power, of political standpoint. And she hears your words, she lets you finish speaking, and then in words probably wiser than her years are, looks at you and says, "While you are very powerful with the sword and the bow, what you lack to understand is that with a snap of my finger, I am infinitely more powerful than you are. And while I take your words of advice fine, those who are beneath their station, or above their station, sorry, need to respect those who are above them. And I am not going to eat food from whatever that thing he calls a bag is."
Then you will be hungry, girl.
I turn to Parvul and goes, "You know what? Let the princess be. I will take a piece of food from your bag." And I offer a piece of food from my bag, a thing of jerky type thing, towards Parvul.
Toward me?
Yes.
I am not hungry. Give it to the girl. And I will spur the horse on ahead, 25, 30 yards ahead, as I'm going to leave the girl to be managed by the woman.
Okay, I'm looking desperately for some kind of food or more berries, basically edible ones.
Before I offer her the jerky, I looked at her and I just go, "Remember this, all great kings and queens, their family started beneath you." And I take a bite and I just kind of walk towards the back of the carriage area and walking behind.
All right, Lith, can you give me a roll and add your luck to it?
Oh, that's 19.
Perfect. So yeah, as you're going along, what you actually stumble across is it looks like there had been hunters out in these woods at some point, and they had left rabbit snares in various places, and you come across a snare that has a rabbit currently in it.
Sweet.
So it's almost an effortless catch for you here of gathering some fresh meat.
I can't believe my luck. And I'm undoing the snare or whatever and pulling out the coney and running back.
When I see him return with a fresh rabbit,
Yeah,
I can't help but acknowledge that is indeed a capable man.
Yes,
My.
You see now. And then I run over there and I'm running to try to go to the back of the wagon. All right. Yeah, I'm showing it to y'all, both of you, the pilgrim and Heather, as you're sitting on the back bouncing.
I kind of look at shock and impressiveness because I didn't think he had it in him to capture a rabbit.
Or stop the wagon. We must cook this food for her ladyship.
So Jorah pulls off to the side in case there's any other carriages that may be coming the other direction. This isn't a super wide road. Into a little spot where the woods have been cleared back a little bit. You may have enough room if you wish to make a fire or something along those lines there. The rain is still coming down quite hard, so you would have to find a way to shelter it,
Right.
perhaps beneath a tree.
Okay.
And it's
We'll get
now
started on that.
getting later
A
into the
canopy, and I'm starting to throw a lean-to, to kind of brace for the rain coming down myself.
and Agrippa, as you're sitting on the back, you can hear Amelia begin to cough, and it's kind of like a violent, wet cough. It goes on for a couple moments, then there's quietness, and then a few more moments of coughing. As that rain continues to come down, the temperature has dropped quite a bit.
Okay. Is there a way I can look into the cart from where I am, or?
Yeah, you can slide right on the back of the carriage where you're at, where you're sitting. There's a sliding window that you could open up. It's got a grate on it, but you could speak into
Right.
Amelia through there.
I'm gonna kind of, knock on that with my walking stick for a second, and then slide it open and can appear inside. Are you all right in there?
And you can see that she's down on her knees inside the carriage, and she's kind of bent over, and she's just wiping her mouth clean. She must have coughed enough to cause herself to spit up a little bit. But as soon as you slide the door open, she rushes to get herself back to her feet, takes a quick sip of water, and says, "No, she's perfectly fine. There's no need to be concerned."
As you say, just remember I'm here. Kind of hold the staff. My staff is topped with a crucifix, so I kind of wave that in the window as like a gesture, and then slide the window back closed and turn to the rest. We need to prepare food.
Yes, so I'll get the fire going, but then I'll leave it to those of better skill to skin this thing and to cook it.
Oh, I'm already
I'll keep
doing it.
guard.
Yeah. Have you? I'm scampering around looking for anybody with a knife. I don't have one on me. Jorah, do you have a knife? Heather.
And,
I have a short sword that maybe you can.
Jorah
Girl,
holds up a little, like almost like pocket knife size. He's like, "I have this," and then Heather holds up a short sword, and he kind of shrugs and puts the small knife away. And
Okay, get to skinning, girl, and I throw the coney, and I bend down to start working on that fire. All right, I've thrown some made a little hastily built lean-to kind of brace for the rain coming out.
okay, yeah, and you've spent all kinds of time living out in the brush. I'm sure there's no problem with you being able to create a fire.
Oh yeah,
and protect it. So we don't need to worry about doing a roll for that at all. You get the rabbit skinned and put over, I assume, on a stick over the fire to roast it in some way.
yeah, turn it.
As the rabbit is roasting and you guys all kind of start to realize that you didn't eat much on this journey either, other than like dry jerky and whatever it is that Linth has been picking up off the ground, and so your stomachs are growling a little bit. It smells delicious. Heather, you're still trying to stay as alert as possible, taking the initiative of guarding this carriage pretty seriously. You don't see anything, but you've heard movement occasionally, and you've had this feeling that you're being watched. But every time you go to look to see what it is, there isn't anything there. There's just that kind of tickle in the back of your head that feels like somebody's staring at you. And occasionally you'll see some movement in the brush around where you're at.
I called to Parvo and I'm like, Parvo, do you sense that?
Looking, scanning the road both directions while they're making fire and cooking. When she speaks to me, it kind of shocks me. No, I am watching the road. What are you talking about? And I'll turn to face her. What do you speak of?
I just sense something. I see some kind of movement towards the woods. I just sense something. And as I say that, I want to ready my bow because, I made sure that they had my short sword to take care of the rabbit. So I have my bow at the ready because I just feel unease.
So I draw my sword and I go to the horse and pull my shield off and I'll start heading into where she kind of pointed out, where she sensed something moving about. I'll head into the woods there, looking.
Um, Agrippa, you're still in the carriage, I believe. You notice a little shimmy as the horses seem to have started to get a little bit uneasy. You hear Jorah kind of trying to calm them a little bit. Their nostrils have flared. They look like they're a little bit at ill
On the
ease.
edge. Yeah.
And Heather and Parvel, as you guys are kind of like looking kind of intently where Heather last kind of thought she saw some movement, you see a pair of eyes kind of reflect in the little bit of light that's breaking into that area. Very yellowish looking eyes, about knee height, coming back out towards you. You don't get to make any. You don't really get to see too much more of what the figure is, but you do get a good look at a couple of eyes, and then off to your right, further into the brush, you sense a little bit more movement as well.
Okay, so I take my sword and put it in my hand. It's under my shield. Very slowly and carefully reach down, pick up a rock, find a stone around my feet, come up slow, and then pitch it right toward those eyes, trying to spook whatever it is, get it to move, get it to run.
And yeah, as soon as you pitch the rock, before it even hits the brush, where the eyes were, you see the blink of the glow of them kind of go out. It appears to have moved, and the rock hits the brush, and you kind of hear it bang and tangle around in the roots and what have you that are there. Whatever the creature was that moved, it did not appear to be very, very tall. It seemed to have been, like I said, knee height or lower. And maybe on Parvel, that's a little bit higher than knee height. I don't know,
Right.
but for the normal person, knee height or lower.
Woman, your instincts are good. There is something here in the trees, more than one. Be on guard. It could be we could have drawn coyotes or wolves to our food, to our campfire.
And as you say that, actually, Linth, you're still working away on this rabbit and
Yeah.
trying to keep everything dry. As you look up right at the edge of the lean-to that you had constructed to kind of keep the rain off of, stands a very strong looking white gray wolf, and he's kind of just got a little bit of a snarl going, and he's staring at the rabbit that's on the stick. And the fact that you're between him and that food, you see a snarl upon his face.
Okay.
He hasn't moved towards you yet, but he is just standing there, almost like as if he's claiming his space.
Okay. Automatically, because I was just cheerily going on with my business and wafting in this freshly burning meat, cooking meat, and I'll look up and see this, I'll freeze immediately. And I've got
so
the
you guys
rabbit
have
on
like
the
an
stick.
eye. Yeah, you have basically like an eye-to-eye lock. He's locked right on your eyes and just kind of watching you. So any sudden you get knowing the wilderness like you do in your time in it, any sudden movements, and he's just going to pounce.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm locked to him right now, but I had the rabbit on a stick,
Mhm.
and I'll take it and just fling it toward him immediately. Still looking at him and just throw it right toward him.
And you see him as the rabbit on the stick kind of tumbles into the brush here beside you. You see him tear right for it, and he rips into it. As he gets his mouth on it, two other wolves come out from the woods around there, and they kind of squabble over it a little bit. And you can see that there's definitely a pecking order where the one that was in front of you seems to be the one who's going to get first dibs on this. He scarfs down. He begins eating his share of it. What's the rest of everybody doing during this time period?
I kind of look at Parvel and kind of notion like, do you want me to release the bow, or should we kind of motion on, like kind of doing the head like this or this? Like,
I nod toward the to Jorah and the wagon, and I basically whisper, hopefully toward them without disturbing these. Let these wolves fight. I think we move forward up the road. The girl will eat whatever she eats, or she starves.
And Jorah hears that.
I'd rather not tangle with wolves.
Yeah, I'm scrambling backwards right now. and you'll hear me say, "Wolf, wolf," kind of under my voice as I'm
Yes,
turning
Length.
around to.
Yes, Length, we know.
Yeah, I'm slinging onto the back of the wagon, going, "Go, go now, go."
Go, Jorah, drive the girl, and I'll mount up, and I'll offer a hand to either the pilgrim or to Heather onto the horse, so they're not left behind. Whoever doesn't jump onto the wagon.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm still kind of hanging around the wagon myself, and
Okay.
Yeah. I will take your offer to jump on the horse so that the pilgrim can ride.
Okay.
the
So I'll
wagon.
swing her up, and then I'll ride on ahead of the Jorah and the horse.
Okay, so as that's happening, you're hearing the dogs, the wolves, like growling and barking at each other and ripping, and it's not very long. Like this is like a few moments before what this rabbit was is essentially gone at this point.
Right.
To the point where they're actually fighting over the stick that has the juices that the rabbit was cooked on. You begin to ride ahead, and as you look back, the cart isn't moving. As Jorah tries to move forward, the rain has continued so much that the wheels of the carriage have actually kind of sunk into the ground a little bit, and he's having a hard time getting it to go. So you hear the horse. The horse is kind of reacting to both Jorah trying to make it move forward, as well as it's got a bunch of dogs. Yeah, it's got a bunch of wolves and dogs beside it fighting, and so it's starting to make a bunch of noise and isn't looking too comfortable. But that the carriage has not begun to move just yet.
Blast! The gods do not cooperate with us today, and I drop off the horse.
Sorry.
Leaving Heather in charge of my horse. I'll run to the back of the wagon and try to lift up the wagon.
Yeah, at the same time, I'm kind of putting my shoulder to it and trying to dislodge it.
I'm still up on top, caterwauling, and I'm opening that slide. Tell them to go, girl. Tell them to go now. Jorah, go. All right.
Okay.
As they're doing that, like I want to have like the reins kind of under control, but I want to still have ready while I'm standing or on the back of this horse, kind of aimed at the wolves, just in case one starts to go after them as they're trying to push it. I can release a bow.
Okay. Parvel, since you said you were going to start the pushing, I'm going to have you do the roll. It's going to go from being a tough down to an average because Agrippa's helping you. So then just add whatever bonuses you need.
I've got a body 1, so 9.
9 does not do it. You
right.
you both start.
My feet slip out from under me into the mud. Right. Last night, this girl. What does she weigh? I look to the monk. Is her ladyship? What else is in that wagon? I won't dare suggest she's fat, but maybe there's a load of gold in this wagon.
I kind of pick up on the meaning of the words anyway, and kind of like turn from my efforts pushing and kind of turn to look at him with venom in my eyes.
I think we're going to have to hook my horse and pull with our horse.
I'll see about working on the mud.
Yeah.
And I kind of ram my stick.
The horse. As I hear that, I get off the horse and kind of want to try to tie it with the rest of the horses.
As you're tying it on, all the horses now are starting to get really uneasy, and especially as you tie on Parvel's horse to the group, it's sensing the unrest, and now it feels like it's trapped because you've tied it on, and the horses are getting antsy and moving around, and you can hear Amelia kind of starting to grumble inside, both of hunger and asking what is going on out there. Why is there so much noise and from the horses? At that same time, the wolves kind of look up from what they were eating on and chewing on. There is nothing left of the rabbit. There is nothing left of the stick, but they do see some fresh horses.
Yeah,
and it looks like they may still be hungry, and they start to spread out a little tiny bit, almost as if they're trying to encircle the.
Oh yeah. Okay, so at this point, I slide my shield down onto my arm, and I bang on my shield and yell, get as loud as I can. Get, you vermin, get! And I'll step, kind of between them and the horses. No, you will not have our horses.
All right.
I'm kind of working on scraping the mud away from where the wheels are. So like with my stick, kind of like trying to ram and wedge underneath the wheels. I'm also kind of murmuring to myself, quietly praying for like a break in the rain so that the mud can dry up. And
Okay, can you give me a roll and just add your spirit onto it? Let's see if the gods are answering.
9.
A 9.
9 bonus,
The rain slightly lessens, but the overcast and the clouds don't break away. But the rain has stopped being heavy, hard beats on the roof, and it has turned more into like a misty drizzle of the rain.
I holler at the hermit to get down and help me push the wagon while he's scraping out the mud.
Oh, yeah, I jump off and then I quickly run around to the front and I'm taking my stick and I'm whapping it on the back of the horse's rear. Go, you idiot.
As you jump down, the large movement of you jumping off the carriage and landing on the ground, one of the wolves kind of moves off to the side and makes a little lunge at you.
Whoa. And I swing that stick around and I'm pointing right at him. Watch it.
So it's not a it's not so much that it's at a point where you're going to be able to warn, but you can swing the stick probably to try to bat it as it's lunging at you. If you would like to make a roll for that to see if you're able to keep yourself from getting bit at.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be screaming, "Run!" and swinging it and making big motions. All right, here we go. Okay, 13.
13 works. So as you do, you take a swing, and the stick cracks right into the side of the wolf's head as he's making a lunge for you, and hear a big like yelp out of it, and it kind of looks like it's sitting there stunned for a moment and kind of slinks back, not wanting now realizing that you're not as defenseless as it thought you were.
Yeah, you took my rabbit, now you take that. And then I turn back around and I'm smacking the horse on the rear end. Go, you lug.
And are the rest of you pushing right now, or are you guys?
Oh no, I'm standing between the wolves and the horses with my shield and sword out in case they try to come at me or the horses. Yeah, I'm in a defensive posture. Yeah.
Okay. So you've got the one of the other wolves that had came out of the woods. It was probably one of the ones that you were seeing that you threw a rock at, Parvel. He's kind of looking at you. He hears the yelping from his fellow wolf on the other side, and he's looks like he's trying to find an angle to come at you at. He recognizes that you're staring at him, that you're in a ready position, and he's just kind of circling around you a little bit, trying to find an opening. Heather, as you're pushing on the back, and Agrippa is doing his very best at getting the mud free from the wheels so that they can get this going. The horses are pulling, and you can see the whole carriage jostling back and forth as it seems like the suction from the mud breaks for a moment, and then just it spins and it gets recaught again. You're getting covered in mud. You're like as he's flinging it backwards, it's hitting you. You're pushing and slipping on it. So both of you are just getting doused completely in mud, and it's quite quite thick and sticky on you. Can I get you to roll a check for strength as well to see if we're able to move this at all? And you can again add. We'll lower the difficulty because the grip is helping.
So I rolled a 11.
You rolled an 11. Did
you add your body?
That is with my two body.
Better than me.
I'm a curse when it comes.
Nice.
And as I'm struggling, like slipping in the mud, I turn to Agrippa and say, "Curse be your gods." I'm just like,
and just as you say that, Heather, just as you say that, as you say, "Curse be your gods," the carriage and the horses begin to move forward a little bit, and where you went to go to do the final push is one where you land face down. At that same time, you going splat down, the alpha wolf, the one that was staring down Linth earlier on, has come up behind all of you, and is standing right behind where you just fell. As we come back to you guys to tell me what happens next, his face is just coming over the back of your heels. Agrippa, you can see that as well because you were back there helping. And Parvel, you still have the one that's kind of dancing around you.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of turn on my heels after dislodging the carriage and like see what's going on there and try to like rush forward in between the wolf and Heather and kind of like wave my stick in front of me to try to avert it.
Are you trying to hit it or just trying to ward it off?
Just trying to kind of keep it at bay, just holding it at length.
Okay, and yeah, it hasn't approached yet. It's you can almost see the intelligence in its eyes as you wave the stick, and it's really looking for an opportunity. It understands what you're trying to do, and it's trying to plot out its counter to it.
Yeah.
Parvel, the one that's been dancing with you, looks like he's about to strike. You can see his front legs kind of tense for a minute. His whole back stiffens up, and he starts to lunge.
Okay. All right. I draw my shield up in preparation of taking its paws or its jaws on with my sword under the edge of the shield, hoping to skewer it with its own body weight.
Okay.
And when that wagon lurches forward, I'm running to the back, and I see them laying down. I'm like, "Girl, get up, let's." And I see the wolf, all right, facing him off.
Go ahead. As you're yelling at me and I'm cleaning off my face, I realize that I didn't get back my sword from you, and I go, "Blasted hermit, where's my father's sword? Is I giving it to you for the rabbit, like to skin the rabbits?"
The Parvel,
it's still over there. It's still over there. I'd already skinned it and laid it down. All right.
Parvel, can you do up a roll so we can find out what happens between you and that wolf?
Yep. Here we go. Oh, 19 plus 1, 20.
Excellent. So let me know what happens here. You are clearly able to both keep yourself from being hurt, and you're probably going to be able to, if you wish, do something to the wolf that's coming at you.
Exactly as I anticipated. I kind of duck behind it with my sword under the bottom half of the shield. I feel its weight as it leaps, and I feel my sword push my arm back as its body. He impels himself on the end of my sword as I hold fast, and I'll draw the sword out in preparation of having to kill it. Basically, I'm assuming I've wounded it. So now I'm anticipating I may have to put it down, right?
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely wounded. It falls. It's now a creature that is probably not so much aggressive in trying to fulfill its original goal. It's now just worried about survival. So it's trying to slink back away from you. The gash that's in it is oozing blood, and at this point you get a sense just from living in the world and having seen wolves and heard stories of wolves before. If you believe that if you don't engage with it, it'll probably take off, but if you move forward, it'll act like an animal that's trapped. Heather, the wolf that's right behind you is starting to snarl. Lith has been shaking a stick in its direction to try to keep it from moving forward.
I think Agrippa has.
Sorry, Agrippa was shaking the stick. I apologize. Yeah, and there's a little bit of a growl, and then that growl is answered again from behind Lith as the Lith had his back to the one that had slunk away that he had reached at earlier, and it comes leaping back out again. And the wolf that's right in front of Heather is also making a leap towards her, trying to dodge your stick, Agrippa.
Okay.
So am I seeing the wolf that's coming behind Lith?
Yeah, you would have seen the one that's coming behind Lith. This is all kind of happening in a really quick motion here. As you were on the ground, you're just getting back up. That's when they're all kind of striking at the same time. So as you're probably telling Lith, "Where's my sword?" You can see behind him the wolf that's starting to launch at him. At the same time, there's one coming behind you as well.
And I'm just seeing the wolf. I just come around the corner and see the wolf that Agrippa's, holding back. So I'm like, from my excitement. Yeah.
I want to swing my bow back around and get it into position. I want to fire if I have enough time, right at the wolf behind Lith as I'm cussing him out.
Okay.
For using my father's sword.
You can. As you're standing up, the stick that Agrippa was waving is clearly, you're now between him and the wolf. And as you stand up to take a draw, we're going to make this one a harder roll because the wolf is coming up behind you, and he may interfere with your ability to get a good beat or a good aim if he manages to hit you.
That's awesome.
So so do another.
Does it get you before you get it?
I know, right? 17.
Nice.
17 is right on the edge of being. Oh, sorry. Actually, 17 is fantastic. That was a tough. So yes, yeah, 17. You let loose the arrow, and the arrow flies and hits the wolf that's behind Lith, dropping it dead. And
Nice.
I'll let you describe where it hits. As that arrow connects with Lith, though, or sorry, with the wolf behind Lith, the wolf behind you, you feel an immense weight as it smashes into you from behind. You'll have to do another roll to see if you're able to avoid taking any damage from that.
Okay. So as I release the bow, I go when it like hits, I go, I saved your life, Lith. Now you saved my father's sword. And as I get the word sword out, I just feel the hit impact, and I go straight face down in the mud.
Oh, nice.
I stop, and I'm literally like, I'm checking myself because I think I've just been shot by an arrow.
Right.
And I'm like looking, I'm trying to compute all this stuff. So really, I'm kind of shut down mentally because I'm looking.
Right. She's
so
shooting right at you, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to finish her answer. It's over the campfire rabbit.
Sorry, what was your roll?
I rolled an 18.
All right, that's awesome. So the wolf does manage to knock you down as you described, but as his jaws go to try to sink into you, they must hit something else. I don't know if you have anything on your back or anything that maybe is protecting you from it.
My backpack.
So yeah, maybe instead of biting into you, he's biting into the backpack.
Right.
And so Agrippa, you now see, first she was laying down and you were swinging a stick. She stands up, you don't see anything, and then suddenly she's back down. Now there's a wolf on her back. Lith is trying to
Awesome.
come out of shell shock and describe where a sword is. Parvel, sorry, you're gonna have to remind me exactly where you're at this point.
Well, I'm just making sure that wolf was slinking away, and
Yes.
then I'll turn my attention to the wagon because it is headed down the road unguarded by any of us.
Yeah, Jorah just
So
went.
I'm actually like double checking my colleagues when I see that she's clearly got this wolf under control as it's tearing her backpack to shreds. I take off after the wagon
Yeah.
because I cannot leave the Baron's daughter unattended, right?
Right. I kind of see him speeding off and kind of, go after them. And then turn back toward like this wolf that's tearing into Heather and kind of ready to whack its head with my stick.
Okay. Go ahead and take a whack. I will warn you though that obviously she's below that wolf, and if you take a swing at his head and miss,
Well, that's what I would do. In fact, that's what I'm gonna do when I snap out of it.
So that's
It's a blanket party. Yeah.
16.
Nice.
16 works.
Nice.
So yeah, you take a smack. The wolf releases the backpack and looks up at you in just a large snarl on his face. He took it and didn't seem like it was as much of a shot to him as it was maybe to some of the other wolves.
Yeah.
And you can get a sense maybe why he was the
Alpha.
the leader of the pack. But he is still standing on Heather's back. I don't know if you're going to do anything about that, Heather.
Oh,
You've got
yeah,
this weighty wolf holding you down, and Lith and Lith, you're also in the scene. Parvel, you're just catching up to the carriage now.
Okay.
Jorah looks a little bit spooked, but he's happy to be back on the move. And you hear the incessant yelling from Amelia, going, "What about our food?" And she's like banging on the door, and she's as she hears you trot up, she's like lowering down the shade and starting to growl at you about stuff.
Yeah, I'll grab the side of the wagon, pull myself up as it's moving. I'll bark to Jorah, slow the wagon, stop the wagon here. My lady, you stay put. We are dealing with ravenous wolves out here. And then I'll drop back down into the mud and begin to head back toward Heather and my friends. Once he stops the wagon. If he doesn't stop the wagon, I'm hanging on.
All right. Yeah. As you mentioned, he starts to slow down the wagon, and he's just kind of like, he doesn't make it a full stop, but he brings it down to like a really, really slow trot. I think he's worried about the wheels getting stuck again. So he's just making sure there's a little bit of motion.
Oh, Jorah, just no faster than this, and keep your wits about you. And I'll step off swinging my shield back around and drawing my sword, I'll start running back toward them.
Okay, Heather, I'm going to give you the next handing of the torch here. What's happening? You're the one that's pinned by a wolf at the moment.
So as they're like on my back, the wolf's on my back, I kind of reach up and grab the Heather crown off that has fallen off from the impact, pick it up, put it on me, and I want to just full force like try to push myself up, maybe pushing him off my back.
Okay. Give me a strength roll. See if you're able to push him off your back.
That would be a 7.
You see Heather like almost kind of go into like a push-up position, start to push. Doesn't work. How does that play out when it doesn't work?
So as I go to push up, instantly my arms buckled under the weight of this wolf, and the crown just kind of slides forward on my face. and I go, I swear to God, Hermit, if you don't get this freaking wolf off my back, I will be turning you into our new rabbit stew.
Okay, after she says that, my eyes kind of just stop from glaze over. I was pointing at the fire over there. And then I run over there and I grab one of the branches out, one that's lit, and then run back and try to swing it. Get off of her! Get off of her! Okay.
All right, Agrippa, you see the hermit run towards the fire instead of heading towards the wolf. What's your reaction to that, and how do you?
Kind of at the same time he's doing that, this wolf is like turned on me a little bit. I hold my symbol out in front and back, devil, you will release her, and kind of trying, kind of indirectly trying to like
roll a spirit check. Let's see if the gods have any impact at all on wolves.
As he's calling out to his god, I kind of mumble, haven't you learned already your gods do not care for us?
We're going to make that roll harder now because she's now talking shit about your god. So it's going to be harder for that god to help out. What was your roll?
I just rolled 15.
Yeah, that would have worked, except for it just went from an average to a tough.
Right.
And so there is no reaction from the wolf at all, other than a growl at your feeble weapon, which is your holy symbol there.
Mm-hmm. But I am holding its attention though.
Yeah.
As Lith comes back and starts waving the flaming branch that he had, that's exactly when the wolf was going to try to take another attack at Heather. Heather, you can roll again, but you're going to be able to do so with an easier roll because Lith just showed up and is shaking a fiery branch. So let's see if he's able to do any damage to you as he bites back down. Now he now knows what was a backpack and what's you. So
all right, so I'm rolling, or is Lith rolling for his fire? Which one of us is?
You're rolling to see if you get hit or not by the wolf here.
Oh, that's gonna probably be a hit because I rolled with body an 8.
Yeah, it went down to a fair chance because from an average due to Lith showing up, but yeah, the 8 is not strong enough. So you feel a sharp pain. You can let us know where the wolf bites you, but
so he goes and turns back to kind of where he bit me before, which is now the shoulder. I felt his teeth sink into me, and I go, must I do everything? And as he's biting into my shoulder, I kind of want to just sucker punch like the head, like just like straight out with my fist, just like punch it.
Sure, do another attack roll, and again we'll keep it at the same difficulty because again Lith is still there shaking the fiery stick.
It's a 10.
It's a 10. The 10 is enough to get you into the fair from where you were before. So yeah, you're able to do another shot. So that's now 2 shots to that wolf. He got hit by the stick, and with the mighty punch that you just did, and you feel him release you, and he kind of like steps off your back at this point. Lith, you see. You're waving this thing around as if you're trying to do like a fire spinning act or something.
Well, I'm trying to catch him on fire too while he was, sticking it on him. Get back and in his face.
Do you want to do an attack roll too? See if you actually connect with the stick as you're swinging at him.
No, I'm cross-eyed. I forgot to mention that in my profile description. But no, I rolled a 7.
Ooh.
Yeah. So you're a little bit cross-eyed. You swing. You just barely miss Heather and Agrippa, but no impact on the wolf. Heather, you don't no longer have anybody standing on your back, and Parvel, you're just getting back into view of what's happening here.
Mhm.
Obviously, everything's off the road now. It's all just this mangle of mud and
Right.
mess of human
right.
and wolf.
I can't quite tell Heather from the road because she's covered in mud.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm slipping and sliding in the mud, swinging.
So I'm gonna, as I continue to sprint toward them, I'm gonna assess the situation. Out of the corner of my eye, I'm gonna make sure the wolf that I wounded has not changed its plans. And then I will raise my voice. The closer I get as my boots stamp through this mud, as I get closer, I'm gonna scream, "Ah!" Just crazy, coming right at this wolf.
And as you do, in front of you in the scene, so you see one dead wolf with an arrow sticking out of it. You can see kind of a blood trail leading back off into the woods from the one wolf that you had managed to wound. And seeing now that he's outnumbered and he's taken a couple of shots, the wolf kind of backs up, keeping it. He's retreating backwards, keeping an eye lock on you, but it looks like he's completely disengaging, and it's trying to steer himself kind of the direction that the wounded one went, if you guys choose to pursue or not.
Okay. Yeah, I'll at some point I'll just kind of if he's distancing himself from me as I'm approaching, then I'll just get there with all my friends, and stop there, giving him distance to retreat if he so chooses.
Okay.
At least that's what I'm doing.
And the rest of you?
I'm still waving my branch at him. Yeah, get back. As he's slinking away.
Now I'm pissed at him. I want to shoot an arrow right back at him. Like as he's trying to back off.
So
I
you
just
sit up on the ground and
Yes. I
All right.
want them
Sitting in
dead.
the
I want
mud.
I want his fur.
You want a pelt? All right. Well, let's do an attack and see if you hit. He is he may be easily gotten at this point. So let's see. He is on the back foot.
9.
9 unfortunately isn't going to probably kill him, but it does hit him. You see your arrow come and it clips his ear, and like severs off the entire point off of his ear. And if you ever encounter this wolf again, you'll probably know, just given how clean of a cut the arrow did coming off of his ear there.
Nice.
And he slinks into the woods. I mean, you guys have a good idea where he went. It looks like he's going the same direction that the blood path from the other wolf went. There may be an option to track if you wish to, but at this point,
is
you guys
everybody
are all
okay?
well, he took our coney, but
Well, we have a
you
wolf
ever had
there.
wolf?
We'll
Yeah.
leave a wolf.
The girl. Is she fine?
She's still fine in her cage. In her
as you ask that, you realize that the road has kind of taken a bend, and you no longer see the carriage up ahead. You're certain that Jorah's,
so we
going
all turn
as he
around and
was.
look down that road.
and there's just nothing there. It's just empty in front of you.
Damn him! I told him to wait. Grab the wolf. Let's go. And I'll start running up the muddy road.
I want to go and get my father's sword, and as I go in the direction to get the sword,
Come, woman.
I take my hand, and where with this, I just not like hit him hard. I just kind of use his hand to like push his head, like. Just, like
I back up a minute, and I'm still waving my thing.
All right, excellent. As you guys start heading back towards the carriage down that road, running through the muck and the mud, is everybody okay to take a short 5-minute bathroom
Yes,
break?
actually, I was gonna say, can we? Okay, I'll be right back myself.
Right. And
All right. Uh-oh, everything's been rearranged.
yeah, we're all in different spots now.
Who does Tennessee play today? Alabama? Is that what you said, Dawnie?
Oh, why did you have to remind me of that, sir?
Alabama, the
I haven't
Kristen
even
Tide.
started
Bama.
drinking for the game.
All right.
Bama, yes.
You never know this year, right?
Listen, we lost to Kentucky. We lost to Kentucky, a basketball college. Okay.
Right. True.
What do you think's going to happen to us today?
Right.
Brandon,
Right.
us delusional ball fans are going to be like, we got it. Yes, I'm one of them, but I'm not looking forward to it.
Oh.
I have my whiskey and rum shots ready for after.
Oh my.
There you go.
You have an empty bottle by the end of it.
That's right.
That's how I do my sports as well.
That's right.
With
Oh
a
my
nice
God.
full glass nearby. All right. So, you guys have just survived an encounter with a few wolves. The trip thus far has been anything but a picnic, but
We tried a picnic. It didn't work.
yeah, you tried the picnic, it didn't work. One of you is carrying a wolf, and I'll let you tell me who in a moment. You're now trouncing through the mud to try to catch up with Jorah and the carriage, which you assume is just around the bend here, up ahead of you. The rain has started to. It had been heavy. It went back down to a drizzle. It now looks like it's pretty much cleared up. The sky is still, overcast, and it's still a little bit cold. Those of you who are in wet clothes are probably feeling a little bit of the chill. Those of you who are caked in mud, maybe that's a little bit of insulation. I don't know. But as you guys start heading up, who has the wolf, and what are you seeing?
I'll attempt to throw the wolf in the back of the carriage to where the two were sitting.
You haven't caught up to that carriage yet. The carriage is up and around the bend away from you.
Well, I'll be pulling and dragging the wolf. I'm not very strong. All right, so I'll be pulling it and trying to. Help!
I'll help him carry it because I want that fur, so I don't want it.
I want the pelt too. I'll split it with you.
Listen, if it wasn't for you getting the blasted rabbit versus just getting like
I dropped it off with my fire stick.
Oh yeah, because that really helped, and I kind of lifted up more so on my end and kind of like, let's go.
Taking on the role of God in this world, Cupid might be flying around. Yeah. So as you guys are dragging this up, Parvel and Agrippa, what's going on in your guys' space at this point?
I'm stomping down the road, pulling my boot out of every muddy hole, trying to catch that wagon, yelling for Jorah at the top of my lungs. Stop, you fool! Slow, you fool! As I chase the tracks of the wagon.
As you're probably the person in the lead trying to catch up as quickly as possible, as you round the corner, you can see the carriage. It's stopped. It's pulled off to the side into another similar type little clearing of woods, and you can see Jorah kind of like pacing around the outside of the carriage.
Okay. I stop at the top of the hill as I can see it, bend over to catch my breath. Hurry, you fools! He's parked the wagon for us. Come. And as I get myself back upright, I'll start heading toward the wagon.
As he sees you coming down the hill, you can see him frantically waving at you to come.
I'm
Agrippa,
coming.
sorry,
I'm coming.
Agrippa, I didn't get to hear what you were up to. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I was just kind of following, not far behind Parvel, along the hill, kind of disregarding the tug of war over the wolf back there, just moving along.
And I'm going to assume you guys are going to be a little bit slower coming behind as you're tugging this wolf along. Whatever pelt you're going to get off of it is going to be nice and stained, almost like a muddy red brown as it's been dragged through there.
Yeah,
But
I'm just cussing it away because I wanted it to, not be stained, and he's just like dragging his in.
All right, Parvel, you eventually get caught up to the carriage. And you can see Jorah is looking a little bit frantic. He's like pointing over, and you can see where he had attempted to make a rudimentary fire, and you can see Amelia has come out of the carriage, and has some sort of like a crate or something that was set up so she could sit at, and she's sitting there munching on berries and various nuts and fruits that she was able to find right near there.
Yeah, I make eye contact with Jorah, eyes large, and kind of wave, and then I walk up, approach, and as I won't get more than 12 feet from her, 15 feet, and I'll kneel and bow and say, "My lady, you should stay in the carriage. for your life depends upon it, and I and your fellow escorts do not wish to be beheaded for any ill that comes to you.
She kind of does a hand wave, and she's like, I would have died of starvation if I stayed in there for another moment. And you see her just like popping these red and blue berries into her mouth and just going along.
Do they look like the berries that Liv gave me?
You reach into your pocket and take a look.
And I pull out a berry. My lady, you are not eating these.
And she goes, you've had those the whole time? And you see her reach for it to kind
Agrippa! Agrippa!
I'm like looking at Heather. It seems the bird is out of her cage.
I kind of crawl up in the mud to her and I say, pardon me, my lady, and I slap the berries out of her hand. I am sorry, child, and I'll whip her up I'll scoop her up in my arms and turn and start to race to meet Agrippa as he's hopefully closing in.
Rushing up to him.
This child has devoured poisonous berries.
Poison? How do you know?
Because I've just watched her, and her, I set her down at Agrippa and I look him in the eye. If she dies, we all die.
I just shout out, oh Lord. If any of a time you can talk to your crazy gods, Agrippa, now would be a good time. Like, I just kind of say it annoyedly, but not trying to be such service.
trying to avoid another smiting by the gods.
Right.
And still kind of trying to, it's like setting in like coming down off the adrenaline of that like fight that had just happened.
She's looking pretty perplexed. She doesn't understand. Like these taste amazing. Like to her, she doesn't feel any ill effects. She's not too pleased to have been just scooped up and what she had been enjoying be slopped away. But so she's annoyed. But as far as she's concerned, she feels fine, or at least feels normal.
What? What were you thinking?
You're asking Amelia?
Yeah.
I was thinking I was hungry, and you fools were out messing around with wolves or something, and she can see Heather and Lith come over, and they're just caked in mud, and they're dragging it, and they're like, she's like, how was that supposed to be helpful?
You complain to us about hunger, but we fight for your life. Never mind. I need to think, and I'm gonna kind of and kind of start deliberating, see if I can figure out if there's a way to like.
Are you still holding her, Parvel, or did you?
Oh yeah, I've set her down, but I've got like the arm on her shoulder and an arm around her, like her hand on the side, so she's can't. She's trying to shake.
Yeah, she's trying to shake you off. She's like, just let me return to my room then.
My lady, you do not understand. You have devoured. Lith, come tell this girl what she has done and how we will rectify this.
I stand up straight, and I've been standing about there holding the wolf's legs as Heather just dropped them, and I'm standing there in the mud, and I drop them. I trot up to you and say, what did she ate the berries? Is what you're saying? I see the red smeared across her lips.
Yeah, and as if it's Lint's fault, I get right in his face. Cure her, Lint.
Girl, hold still, girl. Mercy me. And I take my pack off, and I'm rummaging through, and I pull out a little pouch, and I reach in there. Okay. Hold her mouth open. Hold her mouth open. Okay. He's going to hold her. You hold. Parvo, open her mouth. Grab her.
Right.
I'm putting this and smearing it on her. It's some leaves and stuff that I'm smearing.
Agrippa, you might want to say some prayers.
Nice.
Okay. Now, what I'm doing is this is going to make it's like Ipecac,
So what I'm going to do, because we have almost two different methods of attempting to heal here. We've got Lith trying to do like a herbal type heal or cure, and Agrippa, I assume you're going to be using the gods. I'm going to roll on my side and not tell you guys what the result is to figure out which one is more likely to actually work. And then you can each roll individually, whether it be mind for Lith or spirit for Agrippa, see who comes out. So I know which one is more likely now, and you guys can proceed.
16.
And sorry, Agrippa was
5.
so Lith, you take the mixture you've made and you're just jamming it in her mouth. Is that
Yeah, it's just to make her throw up and get rid of emptier stomach.
that is successful? She does throw up. Whether or not that actually cures the poison or not is another thing. But as you stick it in, you feel her bite down your fingers to try to get your hands out, and then just a big wretched vomit all over Parvel's shoes and
That's
what
a
have you.
good girl. That's a good girl. I'll hold her hair up. I'll hold her hair back.
Agrippa, given the results of that roll, how do you feel the communication with the god went? So you made a prayer. Did you've probably prayed many times? Did you feel like you were heard?
I made a prayer that the poisons would be expelled from her, and then I see that she reacts by by expelling poison physically, rejecting it. So I kind of fall on my knees and hold on to my staff and start continue murmuring to myself and
as she's like puking and I saw that she bit him, you see, because I'm still kind of covered with some mud patches on my face, you just see out of like the mud cake on my face a big old grin and goes, I see she has some fight in her, but that was pretty entertaining.
More than fight.
I stand up. I kind of hand the girl over to Lynth, take off my backpack, drop my shield and sword, and I start to push up my jerk, and I turn around. Jorah, come here! And I'm gonna
immediately get her and kind of drop her.
I'm gonna have a little chat with Jorah for allowing this.
All right, Amelia, Lith, as the retching has started to cease on her end, she's asking for water. She needs to rinse this wretched taste out of her mouth, and she also makes some comments about wretched you out of her mouth as well.
I hand her my water skin out of my bag.
And without hesitation, she doesn't even seem to care about the source of the water right now. She's just like pouring it on her face, getting some into her mouth and swishing it around, spitting it out. And then her goal at this point, you guys can tell how things happen, but her goal at this point, she wants to return back to her carriage. She's had enough of this time in the mud with the commoners, so to speak, and wants to get back to the carriage. Parvel, you're talking to Jorah.
Jorah, what happened? And I walk up and basically grab him by the his pin him against the wagon. How did she get out of the wagon? Why did you let her eat? And
Jorah's not that much older than Amelia, really. He's a young man. He may be like 17, 18 years old. He's not a very big person. Parvel, he's probably the person closest to your size out of everybody that's here. Mm-hmm. So whenever you get him pinned up, you're kind of like face to face with him, right, as you're yelling in.
Looking up at him.
And you can see Jorah's just kind of like, how could I? She demanded I stop. I had to take my orders.
You have endangered all our lives. The Baron will have all our heads. I cannot wait for you to explain it to the Baron. You fool! Do not do it again.
I'm trotting alongside of her, offering her some mud that I just picked up. Eat this; it'll calm your stomach.
And you can just see like the bewildered face as she's looking. I mean, you're an odd looking fellow to begin with, but you're holding up like mud patties and asking her to eat it.
Yeah, I'm slathering some on my tongue too to show her, illustrating, and you're swallowing it. So
and yeah, she's like having none of that. She's just like trying to get back to the.
Okay, I sling the mud down in frustration at a moment, and then turn on my heel and go back to the wolf.
Mm-hmm. Right. And we'll load her when she gets to the wagon. We'll load her in, shut and secure the door. Agrippa, Lynth, what are the first symptoms? If she is not well, what do we look for? What do we do if she
death? Ultimately, I try to give her some mud to calm her stomach.
That's a hell of a symptom. Death.
Just tell us then, how much longer does she have?
How much longer? She's some berries. She'll have pains in her stomach. She'll fold up and maybe a couple of days. Maybe a couple of days.
So if we get her home and she dies on their watch, they won't know what happened, correct?
Oh, you're crafty. You're crafty, Parvel. I like the way you think.
Jorah, let's mount up. We must get her home.
All right, so Jorah mounts up. Your horse, Parvel, is still tied from where Heather had tied it up.
Right, I'll untie it and mount up.
And
I offer the pilgrim and the hermit the back of the wagon, and I'm like, I'll ride with him. If you
Now we need to keep the pelt on the wagon. The wolf. It's too heavy to.
We'll throw it on top of the wagon.
Let the pilgrim go with her. He seems to be concerned about the girl.
You're
We
gonna
need
throw
herbs
it
to pick.
down.
We need a man of God looking over that wagon. There is no doubt of it.
all right, so we have a dead, bloody wolf on the roof of the cabin. We've got Parvel on horseback. Agrippa is on the back of the carriage. Is Heather and Lith running beside, or did Heather get on the horse? Or
I'm getting on the horse with Parvel.
All right.
okay. And Lith, are you going to stay on foot, or are you going to get on the carriage? Because I think they're intending to make haste.
If they're making haste, yeah. Initially, I'll be on foot, but whenever they start picking it up to where I can't keep track, I'm gonna hop on the back with Agrippa.
Okay, so you guys are making haste with Parvel's new plan of let's make this somebody else's problem. If we deliver her alive, we fulfilled our goal. Is what I'm understanding from what's been said. And you guys begin heading off. Is nightfall starting to fall? Typically, you guys would make camp and stop for the night. Is that going to be the plan, or is it be pushed right through as much as you can?
I think we should push through, but what do you guys think?
Roll for
I
anxiety, and
I
if it's
say
high
push
enough, we'll
forward.
get going.
I say push forward.
And yeah, let's go.
Yeah, so we got to push forward. She's going to be wailing all night. None of us will get any rest.
And Jorah seems fine to do so. The horses had a bit of a rest both before the wolves and afterwards. So he feels they can keep them moving along. Plus, you guys started off at a slower pace.
Yeah,
doesn't have
Agrippa,
any-
can you not soothe the girl?
I know how much I can do on the road, but
Talk to her. Maybe your calming voice will calm her down as well.
I'll keep her company.
All right. So are you staying on the back and kind of looking at her through the grate, or are you trying to get into the carriage with her?
And kind of like open the window a bit to kind of keep an eye on her. And
You can see that she's now laying down on the kind of like bench bed that she has in the carriage. She's laying down. She's facing away from you, but you can see the rise and fall of her chest, and she seems to be breathing in a steady, normal pace.
Okay.
The carriage rides on through the night, and there isn't too much issue at all. The weather's turned pretty clear. It's still cold, but the mud that you had experienced earlier seems to have mostly dried up or firmed up. Maybe it's almost frozen in some spots if the temperature has dropped. And the cart's moving along. It's jostling, but strangely, for once on this trip, Amelia doesn't seem to be complaining all the time. The incessant
That's one good thing.
yeah, the incessant whining has stopped. There's been a few times where you've heard her going to a coughing fit, similar to what you had heard earlier, Agrippa, like the wet coughs. But then she quiets back down, and she seems to be resting in the back. As dawn starts to come up, you guys see that you've got a small, a little bit larger than a creek, but not quite a full river ahead of you, and there's a small wooden bridge on that. Looks like it's wide enough that the cart would be able to go across it no problem, but that's a little bit in front of you. You're seeing that as you're cresting a hill and see it down below.
Okay.
I want to ask Parvel if he could slow down enough for me to jump off.
Yeah.
So I can clean up this mud that's like I've been caked on for a while.
At the river.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll head on down toward the toward the bridge, and I'll get off the horse. We'll get off the horse, and I'll wash and drink from the river as well, while we wait for the wagon to catch us up.
As you two kind of get to the down to the river area and at the bridge, you can see that there's a post in front of the bridge with a rusty, almost looks like a watering can, sitting there, and a sign above it written in a hand that would almost be childlike,
Right.
that says "Pay the toll," and it says 1 gold per person, but person's misspelled, like the S is backwards, and
Right. Being a peasant, I probably have no idea what that says. Right. So I see it, but I don't know it. I don't know at all what it says.
Okay. Does Heather is Heather knowledgeable enough to read a rudimentary sign? Or
yeah, her father and mother made sure she had basic knowledge. She's knows a little bit about history and stuff, so she might be able to make out it. I have a +1 in mind, so I think I might be able to.
Heather, this looks like a very serious and formal sign. What does it say?
So I'm gonna roll for it because, like I said, she was a farmhand. So.
Sure.
It's 10, so
that's fair. If you said you have a +1 in mind, right?
Yes.
I'd say that I'll let you decide whether you know or not. I think it's probably fairly simple. It's not written in any grand terms. Like I said, it's very rudimentarily written, but so it's up to you whether you know or not.
I let him know that it's saying we have to pay a toll for the ride, but I tell him it's in gold. No one I know has ever seen a gold coin.
Yes, that's
gold.
I
want to look into the bucket. I want to look into the bucket just in case someone did drop gold in there. Right. So I look into the bucket.
Roll your luck for me.
That's awesome.
It's no luck. I got it too, yo.
Oh.
You look inside the bucket, and as you're peering in, a frog jumps out, and you're getting like the wet foot of the frog as it leaps out of the bucket, slapping you across the face, and jumps off towards the river.
Parvel's having a good laugh at that.
Other than that, there doesn't seem to be anything else in this bucket.
Girl?
I turn, and where the frogs hit me in the face with its foot, there's like from the dried crackling of the mud, you now see a foot's like imprint. And perfect. I just like take the little bucket and I just toss it into the stream out of frustration.
Now that's a good place for it. And I walk up and adjust her flower crown.
All right, Agrippa and Lith, the carriage is now arriving on the scene as you see Heather toss this pail out into the river. Agrippa, I'm not even gonna make you make a roll. I'm assuming as a person who does prayer and what have you, you've looked at holy books and can read. Right. And so you probably immediately also see this sign demanding a toll to cross. Lith, I have no idea whether you'd be able to read it or not, or whether you'd even care to look at the words.
Yeah, I mean, I got a 3 in mind, but it's.
Actually, you have a 3 in mind. Can you give me a mind roll for a second?
Yeah.
An idiot savant is what Dell's playing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Exactly. I'm 17.
With a 17, the savant in you can tell that you've seen signs like this before, where trolls and
danger. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Trolls and goblins would have you have set up signs like this before, trying to gather treasure and what have you from travelers, especially at bridges. Seems to be quite common. We've seen in many places. So you guys both are able to read it, and you kind of get a sense of what's going on.
I had been talking to Agrippa, because the girl hadn't been caterwauling. Mm-hmm. How's your lady? Is she
she's
still breathing? And I'm trying to peek through the window.
Yeah, she's sleeping well for now. And then I kind of
well, pray she remains that way. And then I look up above the top of the rim and see her throwing the bucket in. And
Yeah.
I'll say, and I'll see that sign, and I look around both ways real quick and say, danger, danger.
It's a plane, it's a plane. I kind of follow his gaze and can like pick up on the same like idea. What do you do? What are you doing?
I just turn around and goes, I don't know about you, but I'm cleaning this mess off and refilling my water skin because
The bridge, watch the bridge.
It's a bridge.
It could be a beast under it.
So
Lord.
Listen to me, girl.
Marvel
Listen to
will
me.
kind of backpedal and try to see under the bridge from this side.
Yeah.
Maybe slide my shield down onto my arm and look under the bridge. I mean, from here, I don't know what we can see, but
Yeah, so I mean, the it's like I said, this isn't incredibly wide. It's barely bigger than a creek, but not quite a river. So you're able to get a look underneath the bridge. Probably see the majority of it. I don't know if you see everything as you look underneath. There might be some spots that are out of your in the blind spot for you. But as far as you can see, you just see a river running underneath the bridge. You know, some roots and weeds and stuff growing around there, but nothing that would scream danger to you.
I see nothing. We should. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying I'm going in the water, like on the shoreline, splashing water up on my face, refilling my thing,
Okay.
fixing my crown.
Okay.
Now, how dark is it right now? I mean, is it
No,
like
this is like early dawn. This is
I missed that.
You guys, yeah, sorry, you guys finished your travel through it the night without too much incident at all. It's as you were coming down towards here. This was just like the early dawn hours.
Okay, I just missed that. Jorah, I think we should cross this bridge as soon as possible.
No, don't listen to him, Jorah. Parvel, yes, that's an excellent idea. Cross the bridge. Hold steady to the reins, Jorah.
All right.
Agrippa, say a prayer. And keep your eyes out. This should be fun.
So I'll mount up the horse. Fine, I will cross it and show you that there is nothing to this gold demand. And I'll spur the horse out onto the bridge and across it, or try to get across it.
I want to walk behind him, kind of hand on my sword type thing, just walking behind, kind of making sure, you know.
So you're coming back out of the water to go up and walk behind him? Okay.
Yeah.
And Agrippa, were you going to take the advice and do a prayer, or?
I'm gonna kind of wait and watch for now and see if anything happens.
He's
right.
letting the woman who then blasts me.
If there's sign of danger, I'm definitely gonna close my eyes and.
Nobody orders Agrippa to pray.
Parvel, can you give me a luck roll as you cross the bridge, and then
11. 10 plus 1, 11.
All right, let me know what you think you see as you cross across this bridge.
Nothing.
You and Heather are going across.
Nothing other than wear and tear upon the bridge. Maybe some overgrown areas along the bank. As I come up over the bridge, I exactly what I expect to see at this hour. Nobody else out here. Nothing else out here.
Okay, and yeah, you reach the other side of the bridge, and Heather, you're following close behind with a sword drawn. It's probably quite a sight for anybody who, if there was somebody out watching, it's just like these two going across and everybody else waiting back at the carriage. But you guys make it across the bridge, no problem, onto the other side. Agrippa and Lith, and what do you guys tell Jorah to do?
Steadily forward then, and I'm gonna, to be safe, hop off the back of the cart and kind of walk alongside it up until the bridge.
Okay.
I'm kind of hollering at them. What are you waiting for? Come on.
Del, you're muted, Del.
We think it's better on the cart. Move forward, Jorah.
All right.
But quickly.
So the cart starts going forward. You guys are all kind of staring at it in anticipation as the cart starts creaking over the bridge, and you hear like the wooden and steel rimmed wheels of the carriage clacking onto the wooden plats of the bridge as it slowly starts going over. just as it reaches the other side, you hear an unholy scream from inside the carriage as Amelia just, ah!
Okay. I immediately slide open the door and look inside to find out what's going on. What's wrong, girl?
And you can see that she's laying on the floor, just gripping her stomach, and seems to be in intense discomfort.
I told you to eat the mud, girl. I told you, didn't I? Didn't I? Look at me.
I look at Heather. Damn, woman. We may be outlaws.
Well,
Get this cart moving, Dora.
if they don't make it across the bridge and the bridge happens to have an incident, maybe not so. There might be luck after all. I kind of say that sarcastically
Right.
too.
Damn.
You kind of hear the commotion and second guess myself for a second and then start running across the bridge to see what's going on.
You all managed to get across the bridge without having to pay any sort of a toll, and there doesn't seem to be any issue with the bridge or anything else at all. As you get across, the last thing you see as you look back at the bridge for a moment is the pail bobbing in the water and then slowly disappearing out of sight, and the sign still sitting back there with sans pail now. Heather, you see for a moment the frog that slapped you in the face sitting on a lily pad, and you guys let me know what you do now.
We must ride hard and fast unless you have another plan to heal this girl.
With her frailty, she won't last as long as we thought. I don't know if we have time to get her to town.
Maybe I can brew something to ease her pain before she passes.
You'll brew a poison before a potion.
Damn, can't you have confidence in what you say, Linth? Either you can or you cannot.
Yeah, it's all a roll of the dice, a roll of the bones. We don't know what's going to happen to the girl. I can help her. Maybe if she's strong enough. But like Agrippa says, she's weak. She's frail. She's sickly, and she complains too much.
Does your God not seek pity on those who suffer?
Pity? Would you pity that? And then I turn around on my heel and run off into the shrubbery. I'll find something. And I'm
a fool. Either had we rather deliver her sick or had we rather deliver her dead?
At this point, I fear that it won't matter because by the time we get there, she will be sick, even worse, and they're going to know something's up. I think, and I kind of lean forward to Parvel. I go, we didn't give her this condition. And I kind of point slyly to the driver. I go, however, he's the reason we're in this boat.
Yes.
Maybe we can convince your friend that his daughter was poisoned.
Jorah, secure the horses and make a fire for Linth when he returns with what he's going to concoct. Come, Grippa, come here. And then I'll lean in and say, we will talk to Linth about this when he returns, but it is Jorah's fault. Are we all in agreement on this?
It's the girl's own fault. She ate the berries of her own will.
But he gave it to her.
But he
No way.
allowed her out of the wagon. He allowed her to get them. Do you not understand, Agrippa? Our lives may depend on this. It is Jorah's fault. Yes?
I can't say.
Are you a Catholic, Jorah? I mean, Agrippa, are you Catholic?
You just turn to the driver and shout across to him.
Hey, Jorah!
If you're no, I'm in Agrippa, but if you listen, Agrippa, if you are a Catholic, you can confess your sins to God later upon how you feel here. But we must all be in agreement, unanimous agreement in this. Jorah was responsible for the girl.
You speak of things you don't know.
I know they will have our heads, Agrippa.
I will see to the girl. If she passes, then you can weave whatever story you wish. But until then
yes,
We're not saying that, that we don't want to help her. And I kind of look at him like this motherly, like kind of type there, putting my hand on his shoulder. We're just simply saying the truth that we.
There is no lie in what we say, Agrippa. No lie.
we wouldn't be in this circumstance, and the Baron's daughter would not be in this circumstance had he not took his job responsibly.
Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, Agrippa, I do not have faith that either one of you are going to heal this girl.
Well, whether she is healed or not is not up to us, but we will see what happens.
Yes.
I break into the.
I'd rather one man be held at blame than 5. So.
Good. Agrippa does understand.
I put my hand on his shoulder. Good. So glad.
Yeah, I thought you would understand.
And
yes.
I take one of my little pieces of flour and just kind of tuck it in his little cloth there, sticking out.
Just so I'm clear, Agrippa, you have agreed to kind of go along with this plan of placing the blame all on Jorah?
Yeah, I've agreed to kind of. I'm trying to politic this answer
because your god might be listening and judging your actions,
with the understanding that it really isn't any of our fault that she ate the berries. And
I mean, it's just the truth. We were fighting off the wolves. Just saying.
Whoever is at fault will be held at fault. That's what.
That is what terrifies me.
What you say is true, then you've no reason to be afraid.
Lilith,
yes, but I like to cover my bases.
And your butt. Lilith.
CYA. CYA.
How's the searching going?
Okay. I return back into the midst of their little discussion, chewing on one of my black roots, and I've got all kind of different leaves and berries and sticks and twigs or whatever like that in my like almost like a basket with my robes kind of held out. I can make something for you. Just start a fire.
And you look over and Jorah has already started up a fire. It seems to be going pretty good.
Okay, I break out my.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I break out my mortal and pestle and start crushing them up. I'm rolling. Ooh, okay, that is a 6 total.
6 total, okay.
On my search.
As he's doing his thing, I kind of pat him on the shoulder and take out his little twig and put it in my mouth, and I'm like, buddy, we kind of all come to the conclusion this was not our fault. Just so you know.
It tastes like licorice, like black licorice.
Oh, as I put it in my mouth, I kind of like let this like look like and hand it back.
That side of your face kind of twist up.
Yeah. I hand it back to him, but just letting him know we're kind of all in agreement that it's
Agrippa, are you going to do anything in terms of checking on Amelia? And
kind of
while you're deciding that, Jorah is starting to walk back towards the group here now, having gotten the fire started and stuff.
Yeah, at the same time, I'm kind of walking away from the group and kind of going to the cart to check on her and see if she's still writhing in pain where we left her, or.
As you look in, are you looking in through the door, or are you going back up to your little observation window?
We're open.
As you crack open the door, you get this strong stench of vomit having come out from the door, enough to almost make you turn to retch a little bit. And you can see Amelia is laying inside. She's half laying, half sitting back on that bench. Her dress is covered in retch. She's looking much like Heather did, only less mud and more gross, and breathing shallowly. But she doesn't seem to put up a fuss of you opening up the door. And you
or conscious or okay. So seeing that, I'm gonna kind of freak out a little bit and kind of reach into kind of work and get her out of the carriage and go, oh, here, she's turned worse for the wears. And
not good. Oh my God, Jorah, can you believe the man they sent to to be her healer and her help has allowed her to get into this condition.
I love how the wheel of blame keeps spinning. Yeah, Jorah kind of quickly picks up on what you're saying, and he's like, yes. How could a man of such strong faith not have
They've
the
sent
ear
the
of
wrong
God?
man. I cannot believe it. Oh, well, that's too bad. He will hang for it if she dies.
I looked and I go, excuse me?
You talking to me?
And yeah,
Are you talking to
I'm
me?
just like, yeah, I'm just like, because I was focusing on this and I'm like, excuse me, like, what's going on? And I just grab Lip and I'm like, run towards like where you guys are at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you, sir, have caused, and I'm pointing at the carriage driver guy, and I'm like, you, sir, have caused this. I think this is grounds for arrest.
Yes. Yeah, we probably should arrest him, and maybe Agrippa too, if he allows her to die. On behalf of our Baron, we will have to do that.
I'm doing all that I can. I can. Jorah, could you keep her atop a horse with you?
I look at, Agrippa, I go, I really hope your gods can work their magic. And I'm pulling out of my backpack rope and I look at Parvel and I'm like, kind of notion, let's tie up the guy who's been driving the carriage.
Yeah, Jorah right now isn't sure what's going on. Jorah kind of half believed Parvel when he was like, we're gonna pitch all this on Agrippa, and then Heather's getting all in his face. And he's kind of like looking around, realizing that he's been out of a loop of conversation that he wasn't involved in.
Yes, Jorah, we will, for your own good, have to arrest you. But Heather, are you a good horseman?
Absolutely. I was raised on a farm, and I said it like just affirmative as I'm staring into his eyes.
Then Agrippa may be right. Maybe you should take the girl and ride for the winter home as fast as possible.
Agrippa, are you going to?
Yeah.
There's been all this talk about you and your
Is
gods.
that what
are you doing it?
I thought that's what Agrippa said.
Yeah. After kind of shouting that to her, I'm gonna go back to kind of praying over Amelia and trying to see if I can calm her down and get her back stabilized again.
All right, give me a spirit roll.
As he's doing that, I kind of mumble to myself, may his gods be on our side, just like that.
Beaming doomed us more than once. And back to my prayers. That is a nat 20.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Excellent. Lith, you were pounding away with your mortal and pestle there. Did you make up anything, or was there a plan?
Yeah. I'm chewing on my root over there. I'm kind of looking over my shoulder every once in a while at their little bickering and everything like that, and smiling, chewing on my root, going at it, and then I finally lift it up as I keep it in the bowl, and then I'm walking over there. Well, if she'll take this, maybe this will help calm her stomach. But I don't know. She wouldn't take the mud. What you gonna do?
As I'm tying Jorah's hands, I look at him. We'll take it to her with Agrippa as he works with her, and I'm tying Jorah's hands.
Okay. So you, I'm going to assume you guys basically force feed this to Amelia. She's in no condition at this point to put up much of a fight.
Resist, yeah, because she's gonna vomit until she withers away and dehydrates. So
yeah, you guys, I don't even need to make a roll to see if she takes it or not. You guys are easily able to force her to eat that. So prayers have been put over her. Whatever concoction you have just created has been put into her. And if I heard you correctly, you're slinging her on the back of a horse, and Parvel's riding her to. Or is Heather...
I thought that's what Agrippa had said. Is that you thought that she should ride? Is that right?
Yeah, I was saying, can somebody ride her to?
Right,
yeah.
And then Heather's the better horseman. So yes, that's the goal. Once we think she's stable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, she's her breathing has kind of gone back to being a regular. She slipped into consciousness a couple of times, but her breathing seems steady. Agrippa, you've checked her heart rate, like just taken her pulse, and it seems like it's beating fast, but it's not to a point where you think she's on death's door or anything. So, from your own suggestion, I would assume you feel at this point she's probably good enough to go on the back of a horse. If you wanted to suggest that.
Well, if we're in agreement, then we need her to get to town.
Right, Heather, and
Yes.
do not stop to banter. Do not stop to parley with anybody along the road. You ride straight for the Baron's men.
So as I'm kind of hoisting and helping her up on to the horse, I lean back to her as she's kind of slipping in and out of consciousness and all, and I tell her, if ever you want to be like the Purple Princess, now is the time. Go ahead and let your inner warrior, your inner swordsman come out. And as I say that last word, I kind of kick the horse into gear and I just take off.
Okay, so you're riding a single horse with her on the back,
Mhm.
and you're heading right for the winter home,
Yep.
at as fast as you can. The rest of you, what is the plan for you guys? Are you guys gonna keep Jorah arrested and bring the carriage along behind, or?
I think we should put him in the carriage, tied up, and I can drive the carriage, or one of them can. Yeah.
I'm getting, I'm walking, as he's tying him up and putting him in the back, I'm like, what's going on there, Parvel? Why tie the boy up?
The
I
man,
wasn't privy to that, all right?
the boy is responsible for allowing this to happen.
They want to throw the blame on everyone but themselves.
Throw the blame on the boy. The boy's daft. He doesn't know. I slap him upside the head. He knows how to steer a cart, not take care of a girl. That was the Pilgrim's right.
Are you prepared? Are you prepared to tell that to the Baron when she dies?
She'll live. You see her cheeks got
tell the Baron that his daughter is more strong-willed than of body.
Fine, then allow him to drive the cart. But I will make it clear to the Baron where I stand upon this boy's ignorance, his irresponsibility.
All right, so we're gonna say that Heather has rode off ahead at brisk speed, and you guys are coming along behind as quickly as you can, not probably at the same pace as she is. Heather, you make it to the winter home, and deliver the girl to her mother's arms, and then you were kind of taken by the guards and put in a kind of like a room that, while comfortable, is one that you are not able to leave at the moment. And later on in that same day, Parvel, Agrippa, and Lith, you guys also arrive at the winter home with the carriage and with Jorah, and you guys are all taken to similar comfortable guest rooms, but ones that have guards and doors that will not open on your command. And then you are brought in to be questioned about what happened. Parvel, as they come to speak to you, they ask you to describe what happened during this journey.
What happened during the journey is my lady became hungry, and we stopped to prepare her a fresh rabbit. In doing so, we were attacked by wolves, and we sent Jorah on with the girl to make sure she was clear of danger. Unfortunately, after we dispatched the wolves like the guards we are, the men we are, the women we are, as we approached, Jorah had parked and allowed her out of the carriage to fend for herself. And of course, the ignorant girl, forgive me for saying such things, but she chose the most poisonous of all berries and fruits. And we've done all we can, and thanks to the good Lord and Agrippa, and thanks to Length and his powers over herbs and alchemy, we believe we have done all we could for the girl. We sent her on to make sure she was in the best care. But no doubt, swear upon my oath to God, Jorah was irresponsible and ignorant.
And you're thanked for your statement, and a guard escorts you back to your lovely guest room. Heather, you are also similarly brought out and asked to explain what happened.
So as your daughters were hungry and crying out for food, we managed to find a spot to kind of stop, and there was a rabbit that was caught, and we were in the process of making it and preparing it for her, and we were ambushed by some wolves. And while the five of us were fighting off the wolves, your young and inexperienced sable boy took off our direction to make sure she was safe, round the bend, and stopped ignorantly, and let her out because she was hungry. I guess he saw some berries, but in his young experience, not knowing that there are some dangerous ones, he let her just grab them and consume them. And unfortunately, they were some poisonous ones. And through the help of our hermit and our pilgrim, they were able to get her here in the condition. And so, unfortunately, due to sheer naive and lack of experience, your daughter is in the condition. Do I think that he did it, malicefulness? No, he didn't do it to harm her intentionally. He generally thought he was doing what was right. She did ask him to stop, but it has potentially caused her to die, and I hope she doesn't. But that is what happened. I don't like to say necessarily it's one person's blame, but I mean, maybe if he was more experienced, he would have had
And
it.
and the mother kind of looks at you and nods and thanks you for your statement, and again you're led back to your comfort room.
Before I leave, I turn and I go and I take off my crown and I go, please give this to your daughter, because on that ride back, she truly turned into a fighter, and I left the room.
Okay, Agrippa, you know the spiel.
And the whole. Well, we were hired to transport your daughter here. Along the way, shortly after we stopped to find food for her, we were beset by wolves. We sent the boy Jorah forward along the road to protect the girl as we fended off the wolves. But once we caught up, Parvel and I had found that she had eaten some poisoned berries from along the side of the road. We did what we could to take care of her along the way, but her condition worsened, so the group panicked. Parvel and Heather approached me about casting blame to the boy. But through the power of prayer and through our God's help, we were able to stabilize her condition, and we sent her ahead. We sent Heather ahead to ride her to your doorstep, and here we are.
And the mother thanks you, and you can see on the walls of the room that you're having this discussion with. She has many of the same holy symbols up on
Right.
display as what you would normally pray to, and she thanks you, and you go back to your comfort room. And Lith, you were called forth. You've had a chance to clean up. I don't know if you actually took that opportunity to do so.
I want to take a bath in the rain.
And
Yeah, I'll be stalking the inside of that cell as I see it, because I'm not free to roam. And when I get in there, so I'm a little bit agitated. Yes. Well, we set out. It was a nice day and such plenty of rain. Nice puddles along the road. We stopped. The girl was hungry. She wouldn't eat the iron rations that your man offered her. So I caught us a rabbit, a nice fresh plump rabbit. I set about cooking it in the fire, and well, the wolves were hungry too. So as a distraction, I threw the rabbit to the wolves. They fought over it. I told everyone to leave, and the wagon was stuck. I slapped the horse's rear to took the wagon away as I batted away a wolf. I came back, and the girl and the pilgrim were being attacked by the wolves. Another wolf, a big one, this one. So I had to go save them. I grabbed a torch and drove it off. Turned around, and the next thing I know, Parvoli had came back and told the wagon to go forward. When we got there, the girl had gotten out, and I had warned Parvol about these berries. And the girl was out of the wagon. First time ever. The little bird left her cage, and she was eating these berries by the handful. And Parvol, he slapped them out of her hand and blamed the boy for letting her out when she was hungry, constantly caterwauling about being hungry. It's like she hadn't eaten in days. We only just left. Well, I told her, eat some mud, calm your stomach. She didn't want to. But the priest, he prayed, and I force fed her because she was out of it at that time. So I gave her something. She got better. I think she's better, right? Is she not better? Can you not let me out of this place? By gods.
And the mother does not answer your question, but instead indicates to the guard to bring the rest of your companions down here to the room as well. So you guys are now all standing in kind of like the grand hall of this house. This isn't like the grand hall of a castle, but a large summer manor. And you're all brought in, and the mother begins to speak. She's like, I want to thank you for delivering my daughter. I understand the circumstances were not as convenient as it may have been originally told by my husband. And she kind of like points over to a side door, and the door opens up, and Amelia walks out of the door. She is wearing the crown of flowers that Heather had left, and behind her comes Jorah holding the wolf pelt from the wolf that was on top of the carriage, and he walks over to Lith and hands it to him. And he kind of has a dirty look on his face as he passes by some of you. And the mother looks out and kind of looks over to Amelia, and Amelia says, "So all the plotting and scheming, especially against a childhood friend, do you think it was just an accident that my father would have a young stable boy deliver me to my winter home? I've known Jorah my entire life. There's many times this is the only other child I could play with. To think that he would cause me harm." And she looks at Heather and says, "To you, thank you for riding with great haste to bring me here. And it was an honor to finally see you in the action of the stories that I've heard as a child." And she looks at Agrippa. She says, "Thank you for your prayers. I think more than anything else, that may have been what saved me." She looks at Lith and says, "While you may be disgusting, I believe your methods were of true desire." Then she looks at Parvel, and the kindness leaves her face. And she goes, and she said, "And to you,
My lady."
when things went sideways, all I saw from you was not a willingness to help, but a willingness to blame. Lilith went and found things to try to help me heal.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Agrippa prayed. Heather brought me with great haste here. You tried to pin all of this on my childhood friend. And for
No,
that...
I fall to my knees. My lady, you do not understand. You do not understand. You were delusional and ill.
To which then Jorah pipes up and goes, "She was delusional and ill about me being tied up."
Oh
put
no,
my
we
hand-
arrested you. We did arrest you, my lady. We
I
did
put
arrest him,
my
but we did so
hand
because
on
we.
Parvel, and I go, I believe it was not Parvel who pulled out the rope. It was me, because we know under law that if a Baron's child was to be injured, and the one who injured her
Mhm.
would be the one to be arrested. You are the one that did, in fact, whether by knowingly or not knowingly, and I personally do not think you knew what kind of danger you were, but that's not for any of us to decide, but for the Baron himself and his wife to decide. Right? We done what we were supposed to do. The fact is Amelia was injured, caused because you let her eat the berries instead of just listening to the guidance of us who were hired in. Okay, so we did our part, and I'm sorry if it offended you. And I look at the Baron and his wife, and I go, I'm sorry if it offended you as well. But we were not hired to make sure you guys weren't offended or all. We were hired to protect your daughter. And under such, I feel like we've done our job. And I kind of pat Parvel's shoulders.
Your Baroness, may I speak freely, your Baroness?
The Baroness says, "Yes, you may."
Forgive me, but my job was to deliver your daughter safely. And for our trials, and for my witness of finding the girl out of the carriage, I have no compunction about pointing to young Jorah in his responsibility to take care of your daughter. But I will say this: why would you entrust your daughter's safe delivery to a child and to the best friend of your daughter, if he will, of course, do whatever she tells him to?
The Baroness says, "I trusted Jorah to drive the carriage. I trusted you, and you, and you, and even you, to protect her. He is but a boy, she's but a girl. I was not expecting a boy to do what I expected men and women to do. So, my judgment on this is that I will leave it to you. From what Amelia has described and what Jorah has described, it looks like Parvel was the one trying to, rather than be productive, was more worried about his own behind. And I am very appreciative of what the rest of you have done. So it can either be Parvel's penalty on his own, or if you feel it's all of you, it can be all of your penalty.
My lady, I will accept the penalty. Do not put it upon these. Do
I
not put it upon these people.
He's the Baron's man.
I put my hand on him. I go, if you punish Parvel, then you must punish me. And I look at Amelia and goes, because we speak the truth, we did our job, and when others ask of what my experience was, and if I would take the job, I would still say I would, just so that no others would have to suffer a penalty when we did our job. And so I will take the punishment along with Parvel.
This is good, as it should be. Is that my wolf? And I'm pointing to the pelt held by Jorah.
Yeah, Jorah dropped it at your feet when he went by.
I look at Jorah.
Sure
I make eye contact with Jorah, and I confirm again, your ladyship. I will bear all of the punishment for what you whatever you deem. But as God is my witness, I wish I had exacted road justice upon Jorah when I found his irresponsibility.
And I look over at Agrippa and I still see the little flower that I put in his shirt when we had our meeting. And I go, I do think there's a bit of dishonesty though going on. And I turn to Agrippa. I'm not going to call him out because when I get this sly smile on my face, I go, because God knows who it is. But me and Parvel were not alone in agreement of understanding what happened here. There is a third that did agree to it. It was a pact made and sealed by something that is worn. And I just kind of look down and I look slyly at Agrippa with another smile. I go, but I don't need to say it because God knows the truth.
Agrippa, what's your reaction to all this as this is unfolded?
I'm staying as stoic as possible and just waiting for that speech to close and nodding along, and then look to back to the Baroness and Amelia to kind of gauge reactions to that.
It's from what you can tell from the Baroness and Amelia and Jorah, the decision's been made. Parvel's getting punished no matter what. It's who else is going to be joined in with him, basically on taking their share of a blame. All Heather, Agrippa, and Lith were all kind of told, we've decided on Parvel. Heather's deciding, nope, I'm going with Parvel on whatever the downside of this will be. What's Agrippa and Lith doing? Lith seems to be super happy with the wolf pelt.
Was a lack of planning that led to that business with the wolves to begin with. If this is where my penance leads me, then I will accept your judgment.
So is that you saying that you're going to throw in with Parvel and Heather, or are you saying, well,
saying that I'm kind of putting it back in in their court as well, like
okay,
for the Baroness to decide.
Yeah. So they basically said that you choose whether you join in with them or not. So if you're putting it back in their court, then you're not going to be lumped in. Lith, what's your reaction to all this?
I'm just still chewing on my stick over there. I'm quite satisfied with their assumption. It's beyond my even concern and social status. I'm just like, he's the Baron's man. Yeah. Maybe
right.
they didn't get. I'm more mumbling to myself and stroking my pelt and seeing that fits.
All right. Agrippa, the Baroness comes over to you, and she says she knows by reputation, by letters that were sent ahead of time, that you don't normally accept payment. Right. But she does offer you 20 silver coins if you would wish, or she goes, this can be donated to the church if you would prefer.
Just give it to the church, milady. I could never take payment from
because you don't take dirty money. And I just looked with a smile and kind of tap in your mouth.
Just ignoring that and kind of like bowing to her. If it's all the same for you, I'll take my leave. I have a journey to complete.
And she says not a problem, and points to a guard to allow you to head on out. She comes over to Lith and again offers the same 20 silver to you.
I greedily scoop it up.
You can kind of see a look of disgust on her face though, because you didn't clean up. You still reek quite badly.
Yeah,
but
well, I had a bath on the way here in the rain. No, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. So I scoop it from her. I'm still grimy and everything, and I'm slipping it in my pocket.
All right. And then
anytime, my lady.
And then you're free to take off with your wolf pelt.
All right.
They look over at Parvel and Heather, and the guards seize a hold of Parvel. And what sort of you were a member of the guard? What sort of a symbol or indication to a common person that you were part of the guard at all, Parvel?
Well, whatever the Baron's what do they call that? Crest, whatever the Baron's crest is, would be on my shield or my cape, right?
Okay. Yeah. So
Their
your
family
shield,
crest.
your shield and your weapon have been removed from you, and you can see the head of the guard here at the home comes over and pulls the family crest, rips it from the clothing that you have,
Mhm.
and asks you to pick a finger. As you do, the sword comes out and slices it off.
Ah!
As he says that, or as he does that, I turn to him and I go, "We might have lost our finger, but at least we still have our dignity, unlike others who claim to be of God, who like to
Mhm.
lie." And I
Yeah.
stick my hand out boldly and say, "You pick my finger."
And they first reach over and they remove your crown of flowers. That you know, they're still the one that's sitting on Amelia, but whichever one you have on you now, they remove, and they look for your bowstring finger
Yeah, I knew he's going to.
and slash it off.
Oh.
I knew it.
And after you've had some time with a hot poker to cauterize the bloody stumps of your fingers, you're told to find your own way back and are escorted off of the property. And
Yeah,
thrown
and
out.
I say, well, despite it all, your ladyship, I am proud that we have delivered your daughter alive and well. And I'll whisper to Jorah as I pass, on the way out, I whisper to Jorah as I pass, "You best keep your wits about you, boy."
And yeah, the only reason that, as you say that you're happy you delivered her alive, you're told that is the only reason you were walking out of here, only missing a finger, is that she is alive, and you guys are thrown out of the estate. And at that, we can end scene.
Yep.
And hopefully that
Sweet.
is a
Yeah.
completed
Wrap.
little arc for you.
Fantastic, Kevin.
I knew he was going to take a
Fantastic.
freaking bowstring, draw a finger. I can feel it coming. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, he did it.
Outstanding. That was great, Kevin. How'd you like it running it?
It's good. I think I had a couple of things that came up. One of my one of my prompts that you guys hit was a bridge with a toll, and I was like, okay, well, should I really lean into the troll? And I was like, no, for the time we've got, what have you, I just left it with there was a bridge that had a toll and didn't
Sure,
put anything
yeah,
there with
sure.
it. But yeah, no, I mean, it's incredibly easy to run the game because there isn't anything I have to do other than occasionally ask for a roll. It's really carried on the weight of what you guys come up with.
Yeah.
And me being able to bounce off of that. So yeah, it was very easy to run.
Yeah. Did you find it difficult to handle 4 players with no procedural turn-based stuff?
No, it works out maybe a little bit easier online because everybody has when you're playing online, people have a natural tendency to stop talking for a moment.
Right.
If you had everybody around a table, it might be hard to get.
Might get chaotic. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be hard to get everybody's voices in so that they have a chance to have their moment. Like I found myself having to be like, okay, yeah, you have to hold now for a second and take to somebody else, just to make sure that nobody got left out of the story.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy for one person to be like, they get excited about the narrative that they're in and just want to run with it.
That's
so
right.
You have to. The GM has the role of having to calm that for a moment and
Well,
and
that's
switch.
And that's the director role, right? You have to kind of
Run your
Like a
table.
ringmaster almost.
right.
Yeah, you got to run your table, set the guide rules up, ahead of
But
time.
yeah, as far as the actual system from running, I mean, the rules are very small. I would say from the rule book perspective, if I could offer a piece of advice on the rule book, is have a single page for how to create a character, a single page for this is the basic mechanic of like it's going to be a
it all runs together.
And then
Gotcha.
And then the biggest thing that you need to have on there is, especially for people who maybe aren't experienced in RPGs and are picking this up as a start, is I think you should have. I think the document's currently 26 pages.
Yeah.
Dedicate like 4 to 5 or more pages to example prompts. Like have like several D100s for maybe a D100 for each one of your difficulty values of various prompts that people could then pick from to begin with before they start knowing their own prompts. So when somebody picks up this
so
game from,
I'm sorry, I don't D100. I don't follow.
like a D100 chart of things that people could pull
Like a
prompts
road
from.
chart of, hey, this is how the storyline's going to start. type
Oh,
thing.
okay.
Like well, it's for like the prompts that we have on here. Like so, like my thing where I wrote my own, where I had like a bridge with a troll, or sorry, a bridge with a toll.
I got you. You like a random seed. They can roll these to put them into their random seed.
Yeah, so like
Gotcha.
Have like a 100 for, maybe not for every difficulty value, but maybe 100 for easy and fair, 100 for average and tough, and 100 for
so
hard
basically a random seed examples.
Yeah.
A
D100.
database to draw from.
Yeah, database. There we go. Beautiful.
because
Good.
yeah, I think you know, I managed to pull up some while I was sitting at the hockey arena, but a person who may not have done this a whole lot may have a hard time coming up with enough that they can actually do a 3d6 roll, right? Like you're telling somebody, come up with 18 things. You may only use 1 or 2 of them, but come up with 18 things on the fly. But don't make them too specific, because you're not supposed to know what. Somebody who's new may not be able to do that. So.
And they're weighted, so they're supposed to be dangerous on the ends and easier in the middle.
Yes.
Well, they might pick something way too easy or way too dangerous. Yeah, sure.
So yeah, so if you did the weightings, gave them like 100 for each, like of 3 different weights, and then they could just pull from some of those.
Idea.
Perfect. It's a great idea. Absolutely. Okay, good. So Paige,
how did I do of your system? I guess
I thought it was
a better question.
I told my wife during our break. Fantastic. 100% exactly what I thought it should be. Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah. And I like the fact that this stuff grows out of our play, right?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. How'd you like it, Jory?
It was pretty good. I think for a little while there at the start, I had a little bit of, just for myself, kind of getting into the rhythm of everybody kind of taking turns talking. So that was more probably just because I'm used to DMing more than playing characters. But yeah, it was fun. Once I got into it, it was really, quick and smooth. And even when I had to roll, it was, just
super intuitive, right?
What's going to happen, and then call out the number and then let the reaction happen.
Yeah.
So,
So, kind of going back what I text to you and Dell about with the asking about like the bow or armor and stuff. What maybe you guys could do is like have like column A, B, and C type thing, and you can choose one from each type thing.
Perfect.
Where it like, because as common sense as it is to us who's played and stuff, it knows what a melee weapon is. Like example, versus range or missile weapon type thing.
Right.
I ran into players who were just getting into the game and they didn't really get or know what a melee, what it was referencing or stuff.
Right.
And stuff. One of my best friends, I introduced her into the world of gaming. She never really played video games. She read, some fantasy books and watched some fantasy, but she didn't know, a sword was a melee weapon. And so if this is going to be an entry simplified game, you might want to just break it down to pick one. Like melee weapons.
Or maybe change the term melee to being hand to hand, because I think there's a lot of folks that would probably pick up hand to hand a lot easier than melee, just in common English type of idea.
We're going to have to still define probably basic combat concepts. And I was thinking about this. We're going to definitely have to put in the rules that without a weapon, you can't cause a wound, right? Yeah. Even though a poor weapon doesn't give you any modifiers, you need the poor weapon because it can cause a wound. So we need to make that clear too, right?
Yeah.
I think situationally you can cause a wound with grappling or anything like even hand-to-hand combat.
Right.
If you wanted to break off and be a monk or so, and
Right,
you use
right.
chi as spiritual thing.
Right.
So really, the game needs to be we got the thing of keeping it vague in the aspect of letting you more so define who your character is and not be limited by a structure, a procedural structure, or a list that you're drawn from.
Right.
So you can really have a creative narration of who your character is and express who your character is. And like Jory was saying about, I think once a group sits down and they learn each other and learn how to play off of each other, it's a beautiful thing to let, you can actually watch the story build and go in different directions that you didn't anticipate. Even the
I think you need to maybe focus the book too on who you're speaking to with it. It's probably going to be something that is the game is so simple from a player's perspective that really what you're writing is trying to explain to your director of how this game works.
Really, we're really trying to liberate the GM to such a degree that he becomes a player as well, in a way, and also liberate and empower, giving the players agency. Those are the two things this is trying to do.
It's blurring the line between DM and player.
Yeah, I think the a small portion for a player of the basic concept of how a character is and what's expected of them, but then the bulk of the book be, hey, this is, you may have played other games, you're going to change your position and really kind of make it a GM toolbox, so to speak.
Right.
More so than, rather than having a player's handbook and a DM guide, mostly going to be a DM guide with maybe like 2 pages for players, how you create a character.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Because there's some crossover there, and even players, if they can understand from the DM standpoint, or the director's standpoint, as we say in this game.
Right.
I mean, you're really like, even in the narrative, you play off of each other. And one thing that I saw, because everybody plays role-playing games differently as far as a narrative perspective. Like when I play a lot, or at least I try to just say and actively say what I'm doing, where somebody else may say this is, they speak in maybe a third person point of view of what they're attempting to do. And even the mother may I aspect, like Jason pointed out, we're trying to squash that too, because it's just, I think players have to get comfortable with how much narrative power they have to do without stepping over that line, and as well as the director meeting in the middle. And that's hard to define, I think, in the rule set. But understood.
But I
struggled exactly with what Jason was saying. I think off of the last game that we all did, where trying to make sure that you didn't
step on toes, right?
Yeah, like whenever a negative result would come out, or even a positive result, make sure that you guys tell me how that works out, because your natural inclination, if you're coming from other games, is okay, here's
I thought you did a great job intuitively today by prompting, tell us, right? You did a good job, I thought, there too, right? It was fantastic. You did a good job prompting us to take charge of it, right? Because I mean, even although how I want to play versus how I'm going to go about pushing the narrative, even I'm not going to step on my DM no matter what game we're playing, right? Yep. So you do kind of want to wait for the DM to say, here's the role, right? So it's just so natural to not want to take off.
Part of it is you're almost waiting to find out what the new truth of the world is before you decide your next action. And
really the players can't decide that. All the players can do is direct. Now I can give you my visualization of where I'm chasing the wagon down, and you can decide that, that's all true and it fits. And here's how, as a director, we're going to make sure simultaneously while that's happening, this is happening. You're almost keeping these narrative threads organized.
It's like an orchestration.
Yeah.
You're a conductor over there. Hit right now. Let's go here. So you definitely have to be a ringmaster, as far as that. But I love the fact that every kind of different players, whether you're getting to know how to play together and everybody's playing in a different narrative fashion with each other, it just takes a little bit, but I think any table can kind of fall into place and do that.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful about it to me.
Yeah. Well, it was fantastic. I enjoyed the whole thing. So it was perfect for me.
Yeah, I'm sorry for anybody who had to be off actually at the exact 2 hours. I realized we went long, but
right. So as someone who does do 3D terrain and a good portion of the game, I still can see myself setting up a 3D
Mhm.
terrain with this set.
Oh yeah, there's nothing to stop. Yeah.
Easily, you know, and do a broader and honestly, like I'm even showed and printed out 2 copies because those who don't know, I
Mhm.
know Dell and Jason knows that I always print out my games. I'm that weirdo that still needs a book. I
Me
can't just do
too.
it on there. And so I printed out just from reading the rules. I printed out a copy for my wife because one of the things that my players constantly complain about is because most of them started with 5th edition is how um it's so restricting and like it's so limited because you're got all these rules and numbers and stuff like that. And I printed her off one so that she can make a character later on. And I'm considering
Yeah.
testing this out with my personal group because we have a Halloween game
Yeah.
that we're going to be playing once I'm out of quarantine.
Once you release. No,
Yeah.
and there's no reason you can't use maps and minis.
And I'm
yeah.
totally, I feel like this is probably the ideal game for one of my main groups. It answers, it hits on so much. And I feel like there's enough complexity in the game to make it fun, but you're not restricted by all these numbers and stuff like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, it's not mechanic. I love it. It's like a simple game to me. You can have a game like chess if you can consider it simple, or checkers or go. The complexity lies not in the rule set or the numbers, but more so the situational changes. It's like we're speaking about tactical combat. Well, in here, literally through the narrative, you can change the tactical situation that is going on around you, and even casual players, because if RPGs are going to reach into a casual marketplace instead of just the hardcore, they're going to have to go along that line. And so to me, this game really lets me delve into more of the complexity, even though it's differently presented in narrative and situational complexity and even tactics than more so reading the 600, like you said, if it was 200 pages less with Ash, with 622 pages in that game.
Yeah.
So the bar for entry and the rules gate don't apply here, and we can have a lot more people. Most of the player pool is going to be with a casual player.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
the only thing I had on my screen was
and the GM can make it as tactically interesting as he wants by prompting what the wolf's doing next and what the bandits are doing.
And it's live. It changes the whole time, like just from somebody's action. And that's why you shut up and listen to what somebody's doing, because like Kevin can sit there and go, oh crap, well, he's running over there. I wasn't running to get the sword. I was running to get that thing, and playing from my character's perspective. What is he going to do? She's probably thinking, oh my God, he's going to get my sword. Thank God.
And I loved it where she described she's yelling at you and then takes a beat on the wolf behind you.
It just sits up in frustration.
You are there. You can see that she's shooting an arrow at you.
Exactly.
Right? It was
even when the priest is waving his holy symbol. This beast get off. You're playing the character. You can have so much more of an enriched, to me, character experience when you're not thinking about numbers and you're thinking about how is this character represented.
Right. And somebody who loves film. I mean, film is one of my chief hobbies, studies. I took film classes in college, and one of the goals when I play theater of the mind is to try to put people in this space that they're in this kind of film, they're in these scenes. So when you guys describe that without any help, without any offer, without any, it's like that. I mean, that's a dream come true for me. I was like, holy shit, there's 2 human beings sharing this scene from their perspectives. I didn't do it for you. You guys did it.
Yeah.
Right. It was
communal theater of the mind.
It was freaking amazing. And I'm thinking, that's exactly what I'm seeing in my head when she says, I'm looking at him and I'm firing an arrow. And he says, I think you're shooting that arrow at me. I'm like, holy shit, they did it. They actually did.
I know, I'm like, what the crap?
What I've wanted players to do for 50 years, just see it together. And and it matters. She could have said, I'm firing the arrow and didn't mean that. But Dell's character sees it that way.
Yeah, that would be startling.
But in the meantime, I'm in my head seeing, holy shit, she's shooting an arrow right at Dell. Right? That's the way it looks. Right? It's amazing. And then when you guys said it, I'm like, holy shit, we're all seeing the same image here. Right? It's pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway.
from a director standpoint, the only thing I had written down here, other than my prompts, was I took a reference of what the difficulty values were from the book.
Yeah.
And that and your guys' character names, and that's
Yeah.
all that's written here. Like
Yeah.
it would have fitted on an index card. What I actually needed.
Now, were you comfortable with a simple slide up or down of difficulty based on what we're doing and saying? And it's pretty easy, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. There's some times where it felt a little bit abstract, where I'm like, there's times where you almost want to make sure, like when I had the wolves, I had the base wolves, I believe I had set as a what I have them set as. 1 second. Where did I mark it? I marked it on this page someplace. Anyway, I think I had the average wolves marked as average, and then the
Alpha.
leader marked. Yeah, the alpha one was marked as tough. But there were some times where I was worried that maybe I was not doing that properly.
No, that's the whole point. So you could have made them a mob equal to the leader, and then as we killed a wolf, you could have dropped the leader's heart. So you could have said, "This is a pack of 3. The alpha drives it, and then as we killed one wolf, he goes from tough to hard, and then we kill the other wolf. He then drops to average. Now even the alpha is just average, right? Or
Right.
you could have had 2 averages and a hard, right? Or it's entirely you want to conduct combat, right?
Yeah, and a wound pool, and it would just been going down, and whenever you reach
So
a
you
certain
could have
thing, you
counted
drop it.
every wound against the alpha as us killing one of his mates.
Well, see,
Right.
that the tactical aspect is the beauty of it is that's their default setting, but according to the situation, situation in somebody's personal and environmental situation is going to adjust it. And you're always wanting to leverage and jockey for position where you have advantage in there, and you're lessening that difficulty.
Right.
But most of the time, that's why I was saying, and I agree with Jason switching it to base 8, which is initial 65% success rating for the player on, as far as average.
Mm-hmm.
Then really, because you're gonna oftentimes try to do things that is gonna ramp up your difficulty. If I had to, like when I run over there, I knew I exposed myself.
Right.
That wolf could have launched on me running away to go and get that.
That's right.
That firebrand,
right.
and all of a sudden it ain't tough anymore. It's gone up to nigh impossible because it's an alpha wolf.
And one of my goals with this system is so DMs never have to say no, but go for it. But it's but boy, it's hard. Boy, it's nigh impossible. So they're
you get a guts for it. Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, can I do this and this and this? Instead of saying, nah, you're gonna have to wait, or nah, it's not possible. You say, holy shit, yes, let's narrate that, but it's gonna be really tough by the time we roll the dice, right?
See, that's how I've always played. If there's a reasonable, even if it's a 1% or 0.1% chance that it works, I've always let my players try it.
Right.
And this game makes it so easy.
Yeah.
So,
and all you have to do is say, dude, you're running across this road in the mud, you're grabbing up a stick from the fire, and you wanna shoo away the wolf, all in your one narrative action. Yeah, but for every step along that way, I'm gonna toggle it from average to hard to tough, right? Because you've just told me 3 things you're gonna try to do to get to that.
Yeah, and just implement it, and you let roll. It's time to roll. Find out what happens.
Because I had mentioned it before, when I rolled earlier, I honestly didn't know which way was going to cure Amelia, whether it would be the concoction that was force fed to her or the prayers from the gods.
Right.
Does anybody want to take a guess which one actually saved her?
Well, I assumed it was Agrippa that was the weight there, but yeah.
I'm gonna say it definitely was that force feeding of the mud.
No, she wouldn't take the mud.
That encounter.
Force fed or whatever the hell it was. I thought it was Agrippa. I honestly thought it was the spiritual stuff.
Yeah, well, the first time Linth rolled way higher than I did, so that was
right.
But in the end, I ended up rolling that 20, and in the end,
it's huge.
Yeah, and the entire time, the first time it was completely based on it was supposed to be Agrippa to save her. Agrippa's roll was terrible, so that's why she declined so rapidly. Yeah. And then later on, I rolled and it ended up staying as Agrippa, so I didn't bother changing it.
Right.
And your nat 20 is what brought her back.
Right.
So I was feeding her placebo. And,
Right. Well, I mean,
I
you
think
could have
I've done.
combined
Myth was the
efforts.
man, you know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
And that's the
yeah.
other thing. You could have set her difficulty for dying at nigh impossible, and then combined their efforts to lower that to tough or hard, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's one thing I want to point out at the end, because we could roll prestige to see how the reactions were for each.
Now you
thing.
didn't use prestige at all, did you, Kevin?
Well,
No, I didn't, and I that's partly because I didn't go back and look at everybody's character sheets before we
Right,
started, so I
right.
didn't know. I said at the very beginning, like, I don't care what your stats are, but now thinking about it, I
Right.
probably should have known.
Yeah,
what your
because
prestige
like
was.
my prestige was 0, so this little girl wouldn't have listened to shit I had to say.
Yeah, and was everybody's prestige 0?
yeah.
I had 0.
Really? Everybody was 0?
Yeah.
So
zero.
so then I feel perfectly fine with how that played out then.
Oh
So.
yeah, no, you should. And the irony is, Jorah. If you had made Jorah as an NPC, hell, he might have had 1 or 2 prestige, right?
Yeah, because he
But
grew
we
up.
could have been selling Jorah out, and he's actually a higher class human being than we are, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. So I mean, at that point, Parvel's crazy as hell to even suggest it, right? Right.
well, because
Or
none of you
desperate- or
guys
desperate.
asked why he was
Yeah.
why. 'Cause I'm pretty sure I mentioned that he was young and around her same age, and nobody's thought to ask like, why is he the
No,
one?
I was thinking. I wrote down here the name of the character: Amelia, 15-year-old daughter, escort, winter home, 2 days east, the brat. And then I put refer to her as your lady. That was my notes. Refer to her as your lady, right? Because of course you wouldn't dare call her anything else. And then I put Jorah, groom, groom's carriage driver, probably the son of the Baron's groom, right? So I mean, you said he was young, so I thought, oh, he's probably like the son of the Baron's big guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now
But,
what's
you know,
so cool?
speculating.
Yeah, what's so cool about it is my character really didn't care either way, because it was just a job for him. So it gives you liberty of playing. And this is that, like I said, we switched to base 8 and it was 65. And oftentimes you're moved, but it gives you, oftentimes what you attempt to do can endanger you further or ramp it up
Yep.
at times. But it gives you liberty to play your character without second guessing
That's
or
right.
making sure that the odds are in your favor necessarily. So that's why I love it. I get to really
Play.
feel
You just
out
get
the
to be a character. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was part of the reason we wanted players to be liberated into a live play. So they're not thinking about their numbers, they're not thinking about their character, they're not thinking about how they get experience points. They're playing their character live, and they're responding to what you say and what each other says. And so you kind of want to create this improvisational live play. And the director has to keep some semblance of control on the game itself, where it's a game
pacing
and
and
where
everything. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
but
no,
it was
it worked
fantastic,
out well.
Kevin. I
thought the story wrapped in well to everybody, and
perfect.
yeah.
Well, one last question, Ken.
And Agrippa was great. He's like, dude, I'm not going there, dude. I'm not selling out.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, there's gonna be a trial at the
But
end.
if we have to.
Yeah, as soon as Agrippa was like, I don't know about this, I was like, there's gonna be a trial at the end. Gotta be a trial at the end.
That's what I was going to ask you about, Kevin, because the first time I did this, it was kind of mind expanding, because you do not know.
No.
You just roll and you have to play off of the players.
Yeah.
So, and you got to think quick on your feet and connect some dots, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like an elevated form of play, being the
Oh yeah.
naive director, But how do you feel about that? Do you feel totally lost not having to prep this stuff beforehand, or what? What's your take on it?
I'm pretty. I feel in most games I'm pretty decent at being able to just roll with what's going on.
Yeah.
There's times where if I'm running a module, I actually kind of feel where I'm a little trapped with it at times.
Yeah, I hate modules because I feel like I have to make sure I don't miss anything, right? I don't leave anything out, or Yeah.
With this one though, it was
GM are accustomed to dealing with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like whenever I had down, one of the prompts was that the daughter was going to make a big deal about eating food. And as soon as you said that you keep going off into the wilderness to go find berries and stuff, I'm like, well, okay, then we're going to find some poison berries. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't know where that would go until you guys left them alone. And I was like, well, then she's going to get out because she's still hungry and you threw away her rabbit. So I just tried to keep the
one thing leads to another.
Yeah.
I tried to keep closing the loops.
Play.
My goal was just to close the loops as we went through.
Yeah.
So anytime that something came up, I wanted just to close that loop. So when we ended
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
one little shot that there was a complete
And if
story
we're
there.
playing honest and authentically, we end up with organic play growing out of our situations, our characters, our events. It's just it's organic.
Yeah, your characters will inform the DM or so much on that, and you just fuel off of that or feed off of it, and to help just like you said, close the loop.
Close the loop. Yep, that's it.
To me, it was kind of liberating even from that. So that's what we mean about like even the. I said you could literally sit down with 5 DMs at a table and just roll a dice and say who's picking it up here, who's going to run.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, gentlemen and lady,
you.
I need to
Thank you,
take off
Kevin.
to
It's
go put away groceries that my wife just came home with. So
Yeah, I
really
gotta
appreciate
say-
it.
Jory, thank you for joining us again, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Yeah, it was
So-
a
sure,
good
it was
time.
great having you.
Yes, yes, it was.
Thank
And
you.
Don, I've heard a bunch about you, and it's great to finally get to play with you. So awesome.
Thank you. Night.
Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.